What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join my Discord if you want to chat and share your thoughts, the link is in the description. Ada Chapter 196, Auto-generated chapter title, 196. Shinsu Thousand Hands on top of the Buddha. The decisive battle with the first generation. At the moment, Oshimaru is confused. Just a minute ago, he still believed that Ron could not break Rashomon with brute force. After all, this Rashomon can even guard against that terrifying fireball. How could it be broken by brute force? This is absolutely impossible. You must know that Rashomon is a psychic from hell. However, at the moment. But Dashimaru looked at the first Rashomon who had been turned to ashes, her mouth wide open and she didn't know what to say. The unbreakable Rashomon was cut with an axe in front of Ron. How terrifying is this power? However, this is not over yet. Ron's movements didn't stop. Instead, he flew up in the air and headed towards the second Rashomon. At this moment, Oshimaru no longer dared to assert that Ron could not destroy the second Rashomon. Although Ron didn't use an axe this time, but kicked it directly. But Dashimaru no longer dared to hold fantasies. Although there is no reason, but he always feels. It is absolutely possible to smash Rashomon with one kick. This is all due to Ron 14's vigorous performance just now. It really broke the inherent cognition of Dashiwan. As predicted, Ron flew up in the air and put his foot directly on the second floor of Rashomon. There was a boom. The moment the threaded foot touched Rashomon, the whole Rashomon sank indirectly, subsequently. Because of the unbearable tremendous force, the place where the foot touched began to spread a broken crack to the surroundings in an instant. Almost just in the blink of an eye, the crack spread directly to the entire Rashomon. This Rashomon had the same fate as the first Rashomon, and it broke directly. There was a boom. The entire air seemed to be filled with turbulent sounds. The eardrum of Gen's Dashuan is painful. Even Inwave can be seen in the form visible to the naked eye. In an instant, clouds of smoke rose everywhere. Countless dust rose on the ground. Suddenly, a figure rushed out from the dust. It was Ron who just broke through the second floor of Rashomon. Advertisement now. Ron's footsteps still didn't stop. Instead, he rushed straight to the third Rashomon. Dashimaru was dumbfounded at this moment and didn't know what to say. This guy is already too vigorous. Are you still planning to go through the 5-layer Rashomon in one breath? This is too unbelievable, isn't it? Are you kidding me? Dashimaru stared wide-eyed. Even the seal on the hand has been slowed down a bit. All of a sudden, the brain went blank. This extremely vigorous way of fighting really made Dashimaru know how to deal with it. Damn it, Ron, is it pervert? Wrong, he is a monster. Every time Ron took a step, the ground seemed to tremble. Ron at this moment, still expressionless. The first two Rashomon didn't even slow him down by a point. Still holding the posture of sprinting forward, when he came to the third door of Luosheng. Throw a punch directly. In a running position, it slammed at the bottom of Rashomon. There was another loud noise. The earth trembled again. There was a boom. The trembling Dashuan's mind trembled. I saw Ron's punch on Rashomon. The huge impact quickly spread from Ron's fist. This is simply not something Rashomon can bear. Even this heavy Rashomon was destroyed faster than the two just now. A big hole was directly penetrated almost instantly. And Ron went in through the big hole. There is still no pause in the pace. Quickly ran towards the fourth Rashomon. At this moment, Oshimaru was already dumbfounded. Before, Ron killed a Rashomon with an axe, then kicked another one to pieces. This time he punched one more punch, changing tricks to destroy the strongest defense on his side. Isn't this provocative anymore? Advertisement. Dashimaru frowned. Take a deep breath. Immediately manipulate the first generation of Naruto attack. Can't let Ron make another breakthrough, because there are only two Rashomon left in front of him. If he breaks further, Ron will appear in front of him in less than 10 seconds. At that time, with his punch that can crush Rashomon's power, if it hits himself, then I am afraid that he will be finished soon. This is not what Dashimaru wants to see, so he decided immediately. Must immediately control the first generation of Hokage to intervene. Now the only whole cards he can take out are the original Hokage. Sure enough, as expected by Dashiwan, the fourth Rashomon is also like a piece of paper in front of Luo. Also pierced by a punch, and at the moment, the original Naruto came to Ron. At this moment, the first generation of Hokage has opened the fairy mode. Cianfa, Mu Dun, Shinsu Senju, on top of the Buddha. I saw the first generation put their hands together. A huge thousand-handed Buddha appeared behind him in an instant of 780. Although it can only play 50% of its power, but the size of this thousand-handed Buddha is also extremely huge. In an instant, all the surrounding forests were opened. Huge Buddha almost covered the entire Konoha village. And the speed is getting faster and faster, bombed wildly towards the ground. The first generation of Hokage's attack did not hesitate at all. With countless fists, even the hill in front of him was leveled. It covers almost every direction Ron can escape. 4 more, today end. When the Thousand Hands Buddha appeared, this scale. This is also the strongest tactic that the first generation of Hokage can use. Every punch shakes the ground. I don't believe you are not dead now. Ron, who was directly on the ground, started to bombard wildly. It's impossible for the whole Konoha village to miss him. Under the control of Dashuan, The whole ground was beaten in a mess. Chapter 197. Auto-generated chapter title. 197. The Fairy King Awakens. The True Sin of Laziness. Now, even Jiraiya and Tsunade outside noticed something was wrong. Although the first generation of Mu Dun covered the entire place, so that people outside could not see what was going on inside. But now the situation has become a lot of trouble. The first generation of Naruto's Mu Dun Shinsu Senju is really too big. They have already broken through the field of vision blocked by the Mu Dun he had placed before. Hundreds of meters in height. Let outsiders not even notice it. The forest that was created before was like a low grass in front of Shinsu Qianshu. It can no longer block any vision, at this moment, from the perspective of an outsider. A huge thousand-handed Buddha was bombarding wildly below. Every punch made the ground tremble, this terrible power. Even the two people outside can feel shocked. They themselves didn't expect that the first generation who would reincarnate from the earth could actually use Shinsu Senshu. This is already considered a very powerful trick of the first generation of Hokage. Although it is said that the one used for reincarnation is not as big as the main body. But this scale is still beyond the resistance of ordinary ninjas. Tsunade said with a worried look. No, it seems that the battle situation inside has exceeded our expectations, and it has forced the Dashmaru to control the first generation to use this trick. Tsunade's worries are not unreasonable. Since Dashawan had already controlled the initial use of this trick, it means that Dashawan had no other way to stop Ron. In other words, now has reached the most critical time. The two sides should be in the final round of decisive battle. Otherwise it won't be like this. Based on Tsunade's combat experience, his judgment is at least infallible. Jilai also couldn't help but nodded and said, yes, it seems that during this period of time when our view was blocked, there should be an unknown battle in it. The ability to push Oshimaru to this point shows that Ron is at least not weaker than Oshimaru in strength. Nor, know what's going on inside now. This kind of battle we are no longer able to intervene in. What a joke, now is the time for the first generation to release Shinsu Senju. Who can intervene in now? Even if it is their three forbearances, they have some powerlessness. Tsunade sighed. Advertisement, unexpectedly, such a major event happened when we returned to the village. But to be honest, no matter who can win this battle, we still have to thank Ron this guy. If it hadn't been for him to hold the Dashimaru can now summon the original Mutu reincarnation ability. I am afraid that Konoha village will be destroyed at least more than half. What Tsunade said was the truth. If Ron is not there, Oshimaru will attack suddenly. So, with his ability to control the abilities used by the first generation, no one in Konoha village can solve the Oshimaru in the first time. This kind of harm was even greater than that of Kaiwami's attack on Konoha. This time Shinsu Chisho came down, if it happened inside the village of Konoha. It is estimated that half of Konoha village will be flattened. The loss caused by that time is simply immeasurable. Fortunately, the battle between Ron and the first generation took place on the edge of the village. This is already a blessing. By the way, why haven't the four generations rushed over for so long? Didn't he have received the notice of the battle? No way. This matter has developed to such a scale, it is impossible for him to fail to see it. Jilai also looked at this hundreds of meters high Buddha. Could not help taking a deep breath. Now he can be seen clearly in any corner of the village, right? And according to the four generation character, the imprint of Flying Thunder God will definitely be arranged around the village. So he would definitely be able to rush over as soon as he saw the big Buddha. But why haven't you seen the four generations of figures now? As long as Jilai feels something is wrong. These words also reminded Tsunade. After all, before this, they paid too much attention to the battle present, and completely forgot that there was such a thing. After all, this happened in Konoha village, why hasn't Hokage changed it up to now? This is not in line with common sense, especially the four generations of ninjas who are known for their speed. It is impossible to be so slow, and if this happened, the surrounding Anbu must have discovered it immediately, and would definitely report it back to the fourth generation of Hokage. The two of them had just arrived from the Hokage office. Although Konoha village looks small, it is actually very big. When the two of them arrived here, it took a full 3 minutes. And now, 2 minutes have passed since the battle. It should have arrived at the speed of 4 generations. But why hasn't he arrived yet? Jiraiya and Tsunade looked at each other. Just when they doubted, suddenly, a flash of cold light flashed. Everyone could suddenly feel Shinsu Senju's attack speed slowing down. As if pushed back by some huge force, and at this moment, Jiraiya and Tsunade can't see the battlefield. As still overgrown with big trees, Shinsu Senju's wild bombardment did not stop. The entire ground has been smashed into a huge pothole. Onoshimaru could feel Ron inside. In other words, he didn't escape Shinsu Senju's wild bombardment. Let's see if you are still mashed. Dashiwan jumped up. Jumped on the head of the Buddha, standing next to the first generation. In order to strengthen the control of the first generation of Hokage, Dashimaru inserted another charm into the neck of the original Hokage. All of a sudden, 50% of the power of the first Hokage was released, and the Oshimaru was already very reluctant to control it. However, at this moment, suddenly there was a cold light. Turned into countless shurikens, the number of densely packed is countless times more than before. It spurted out from the ground. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. He still doesn't want to completely expose his identity. But, awakening. Ron said lightly, one more, he actually cut off, Zhao Qian's, Shinsu Qianshu a lot. It's more than just growing a wing. 4 generations are coming soon, and it's time to end before then. But using the power of the sin of laziness to deal with the first generation of Hokage is still a bit troublesome. For an instant, the sin of sloth is different after awakening. It's really troublesome, it must force me to use the power of awakening. Ron stared coldly at Chu Dai and Oshimaru. A young man with wings, flew up from the ground. Therefore, the power of the sin of arrogance and the sin of anger will no longer appear in the eyes of everyone. Among the stunned expressions of Oshimaru, shuttle back and forth in the air. Chapter 198, Auto-generated chapter title, 198. Just kidding, I can't even stop Ron's 3 tricks. Wings? How can you have wings? Who are you? As a master of biology, Dashi Wan at the moment is confused. He had never seen such a human with wings. What exactly is going on? Is it the blood succession boundary or a special race? Oshimaru is now dumbfounded, but this also solved a question in my mind. That's why Ron is not as strong as ordinary people? I see. It turns out that he is not a human in the first place. In other words, it is a special kind of human being. All in all, Dashimaru has never seen this race, even at the moment, not to mention that he wanted to take Ron back to study. But now is obviously not the time to consider this. This is not just the difference between growing a wing. Dashimaru could even feel that Ron's state was different. The aura emanating from the whole person is also particularly strong. It seems that this guy should be in a state of use like a curse. Dashimaru has just recently had a preliminary idea for the study of curse seals. Never expected. The person in front of him seemed to have realized the curse seal 780 he had conceived. Could it be that someone really came up with the curse seal one step ahead of him? Oshimaru shook his head. If this is the case, it would be incredible. Unexpectedly, someone actually took a step ahead of him in research. In the curse pattern conceived by Oshimaru, that is, you can use the state of the curse seal and then change the color, so as to achieve the change of the whole body structure. Will gain stronger power, and the state of the curse mark he expected was the same as Ron in front of him. Ron is in this state at this moment, the whole body has changed. And the strength is soaring. That's why Dashimaru thought that Ron had already advanced him a step ahead of the master's curse status. Advertisement and Ron suddenly flew into the sky. It's like an angel at the moment. Jiraji and Tsunade were shocked to the side. They saw a figure just now, shattering all Shinsu Qianshu. Immediately afterwards, Ron rushed out. They also saw Ron in this state for the first time. Can't help being a little surprised. Jilai frowned, took a deep breath and said, "What model is this? How does it feel like the fairy model? But it's different from the 3 known immortals. Is he?" When talking about this, Zilai couldn't help but shook his head. This change in body type is exactly the same as when they used Shanshu chakra. When Jilai also uses the power of toad magic, his body will also undergo some changes. And as far as he knows, there are 3 powers of this fairy. In addition to the toad immortal, the other 2 free ninja spirits are located, and they also have immortal skills. So Zilai guessed if it came from the other 2 people? All in all, Ron's change is not the same as his Miaomushan Shanshu. Obviously, Tsunade also understood what Jiraiya meant. Could not help but take a deep breath and said, "No, it's not from the wet bone forest." Looking at this change in him, it looks like the one on Oshimaru. Their immortal technique in the wet bone forest would not have produced such a big change. At least it will not change the structure of the body. Suddenly grow a kind of wings, this kind of magical structure. It's very similar to the ninjutsu on the side where the Oshimaru psychic beast is located. In fact, Jiraiya, Tsunade and Oshimaru, they all imagined the same. Although Oshimaru imagined the power of curse seals, the curse seals he studied actually originated from his hometown of BEFC spirit beasts. So at the moment, the 3 of them all regarded Ron as the cultivator of immortality there. This breath has also changed. I always feel that Ron is very strong at this time. Tsunade took a deep breath and said, Jilaya nodded. It feels more and more that this power is very similar to Shanshu. Unexpectedly, he had mastered the power of the fairy at a young age. Even I didn't do it at the time. Advertisement Zilai couldn't help but admire a little. Said very approvingly. Tsunade nodded. Now that anything happens to it, I don't feel weird anymore. Don't say it's fairy power. Just from his age, he can resist the first generation of Hokage. The attack for such a long time is already amazing. This is something we can't even do. People who can make Sanin praise this level. There is only Ron. There must be a secret in this guy. If you want to figure out what's going on, you have to wait for this battle to be over. But Tsunade, didn't you still bet with me? How is it? Are you conceding your bet now, or you still want to test Ron's strength? Jiraiya also looked at Tsunade and said flatly, just shook his head. He gave Zilai a stare. What a joke, now the result is obvious. Okay, I said before that Ron can withstand my 3 tricks, even if I lose, but now it seems I can block him with 3 tricks. Tsunade shook his head. Said very seriously. Unexpectedly, just over 10 minutes brought such a big change to her. Now, she had no idea to test Ron, and at the moment, under everyone's attention, Ron slowly lifted off. A little change has taken place in his appearance at this moment. Slowly flew to a position of several hundred meters. It happened to be the same height as the original Hokage standing on the head of the Thousand Hands Buddha and the Oshimaru. Ron just looked at them silently. The countless shurikens transformed from spirit spears hung silently behind Ron in this way. All the spearheads are directed at the original Naruto, Orochi and Maru. Said condescendingly, "It's really troublesome. You two guys make me very unhappy today. Such a cumbersome Buddha has no other use but to frighten people." Chapter 199, Auto-generated chapter title. 199. A bit of cold light comes first. The gun is like a dragon. What did you say? Ron's words directly made Oshimaru's expression very angry. This guy was so young that he uttered wild words. It turns out that the thousand-handed Buddha is of no use except to scare people. It's ridiculous. Only how naive a person can say such ignorant words. Does he have the courage to say that just because he broke through the attack of the thousand-handed Buddha just now? That's because he didn't see the true power of this trick at all. The big snake pill at the moment, staring coldly at Ron flying in the air. Isn't this guy so unscrupulous because he can fly? What ignorance. It seems that we must teach him a lesson. This is also the final trump card of Oshimaru. If he can't rely on the first generation of Naruto to break through, I am afraid it will be difficult for him to leave here again. And counting the time, Ron was not wrong in what Ron said, and the fourth generation must be coming soon. Although Dashimaru didn't understand why the fourth generation of space-based ninjas were so slow, they hadn't arrived yet. After all, he didn't know that the marks placed around the four generations had actually been removed by Ron. But Dashawan can expect that it won't be long before these people around will gather around. After all, the first battle was still small, but since the thousand-handed Buddha was summoned, it was impossible to hide it. It is estimated that the entire Konoha village has already seen this big Buddha. Now Auntie, Shangnin, and the people from the Root organization are probably all rushing toward this side. At this moment, not only Ron hopes that the war will end soon, but Oseimaru also hopes that it will end soon. Only after it is over, I can leave here quickly when the people around me are not surrounded. Otherwise, Jiraiya and Tsunade alone are enough to drink a pot by themselves. Thought of this, Dashi Wandian directly released the restrictions on the first generation of Hokage. At this time, he couldn't personally control the first Hokage. Because this will only limit the ability of the first generation of Hokage. Advertisement then the first generation of Hokage could not really exert its strength. In this situation, relying on him to manipulate the first generation of Hokage, he can't beat Ron. So, I can only hope that the first generation of Naruto will play by themselves. Thinking of this, Dashimaru's eyes narrowed, suddenly. Shinsu Senju, the big Buddha, who interrupted his hands just now, grew his hands again. Facing Ron in the sky, it was a wild bombardment. If it's just one or two hands, it doesn't actually have much power at all. But there are too many unstoppable hands, the sky is densely packed. All are invisible shadows. Even the air was incited to make a sound of Mimi. It even swept away from the surrounding area that was driving a huge wind. This is the wind alone. It is comparable to Feng Dun Ninjutsu. This can be seen. How horrible Shinsu Senju's attack was. It's just right. Look at your hands, or the proliferation of my spirit gun. Ron just finished speaking. Behind, thousands of shurikens. Suddenly, he turned to face the Buddha, then galloped out suddenly. The speed is very fast. It's like a storm. Shinsu Senju's attack collided with Ron's spirit spear proliferation. In an instant, the whole sky was chaotic. Countless sawdust sparks shot in and out of the confrontation. Ron's spirit spear proliferated continuously, and the thousand-handed Buddha didn't let the wind go. After those wooden arms are penetrated, they can quickly regenerate. It was also constantly bombarding Ron. Advertisement. The most terrifying thing is, in Senjujuma, who was reincarnated from the dirty soil, his chakras are endless. There is no need to consider the consumption of chakra. Therefore, it can inspire the power of the thousand-handed Buddha without limit. At the moment, Dashawan looks hideous. How? This time you have seen the true power of reincarnation, right? You finally understand the horror of the first generation of Hokage, right? What if Ron can transform, even if he uses the speed limit ability or the curse seal? No matter what kind of power it is, but they can't escape, there will be a moment of exhaustion. It is human after all. Human power is limited. Human chakras are also limited. But Mewtwo reincarnated differently. The characters reincarnated from rice soil, chakra is basically infinite. No matter how long it lasts, he didn't mind now fighting against Ron with such a costly tactic. Nor will it fall to the point where the chakra is exhausted. Then there will be the moment when the chakra dries up. How strong can Ron be? The human body is destined to be unable to fight for a long time. So it is very suitable for protracted wars. That's the moment he defeated Ron. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. After all, it is not a human being, infinite versus finite. As long as it is a human body. Basically, his mana cost for controlling the spirit gun attack is equal to 0. But Dashawan's wishful thinking is too self-righteous after all. Seeking flowers, it will be exhausted after all. This is also Oshimaru, the only bargaining chip that can win now. 0. Even if he fights for 3 days and 3 nights, he won't be tired at all. If time is not limited, Ron doesn't mind continuing to spend with him, but now. Ron wasn't interested in that at all. He must end the battle as soon as possible. Ron didn't want his peaceful days to be broken like this, and the generation of this guy is almost here. Think of it here. Ron immediately retracted the spirit gun. Thousands of shurikens in the sky quickly regrouped into a spirit gun. Then it fell into Ron's hands. This was the first time Ron had held the spirit gun in his hand. At this moment, he is already the awakening posture of the Fairy King. The two pairs of wings are like gods in the sky, and he was holding a spirit gun in his hand. Really very handsome. In fact, the true strength of his posture has changed from controlling the spirit gun to using it. Haha, did you give up? When Oshimaru saw that Ron didn't use the skill just now, he thought that his chakra consumption could not keep up, so he laughed wildly. Dashi Wan will never let go of this perfect opportunity. Shinsu Qianshu started to bombard Ron again. At this moment, Ron directly greeted him with his spear. The gun is like a dragon. A bit of coldness comes first, 3 more pills. Because now Ron can't feel any consumption at all. Chapter 200. Auto-generated chapter title, 200. One person, one shot, a thousand-handed Buddha, the first generation died. However, Oshimaru never expected Ron to rush up with a gun. What a joke, so many shurikens just didn't penetrate Shinsu Senju. Does he think it can be shot through with a gun? Crazy? Still, this guy has no chakra and can be consumed by him, so he can only rush up with the gun himself. There is nothing wrong, it must be so. Dashimaru's eyes were cold, and the corners of her mouth couldn't help showing a cold smile. Only this result will make the operator rush up. It seems that his tactics just worked really well. Ron didn't have any strength to fight back, very good. Since there are no chakras, it means that one person has lost the ability to fight back. It seems that victory will ultimately belong to oneself, 780 inches. Since there is no chakra, let me go to death, Dashi Wan shouted. At the same time, Shinsu Senju's attack became more intense. It's a bombardment against Ron, and Ron was carrying a spear. Actually rushed directly into the area where the attack was the most violent. Even Jiraiya and Tsunade who were watching the battle were stunned. Are you crazy? How could this tactic be adopted? Is there really no chakra? That's impossible. With their combat experience, even if the Vice Admiral chakra was exhausted in the battle. Nor would he choose to rush to the opposite side with a weapon. For the ninja, this situation is undoubtedly deadly. Unless he is a physical ninja. But according to Ron's battle situation, it can be found that this guy is not a person with physical skills at all. Because physical skills cannot be as weak as his body. Physical exercise is completely dependent on one's own exercise. Ji Lai frowned. No, maybe Ron really exhausted chakra, right? Tsunade shook his head. Even if chakra is really exhausted, it is impossible to take such a reckless behavior. It's not necessarily, after all, he is still young. Are you crazy? Does he think he can fight Shinsu Senju with a spear? Tsunade and Jiraiya had a not optimistic view of the current situation. No, we must go up and rescue him. Advertisement. Otherwise, it is really easy to be beaten to death by Dashawan, and then Dashawan will be able to escape. Jilai Yeli immediately opened the fairy mode. Tsunade on the side also opened the seal of Baihao. The two decided immediately. I'm afraid it will be too late if I don't make a move at this time. So the two slammed hard on the ground burst. The whole figure quickly took off. He galloped in Ron's direction. Neither of them can fly, so this kind of height can only be achieved by this jumping method. Even when in midair, in order to leverage, Jilai also directly summoned Toad Wentai. Stepped on Wentai's head. Bunta is like a little toad in front of Shinsu Thousand Hands Buddha. The size of the two is really too different, so Wentai couldn't form any combat effectiveness at all. Jilai did not intend to let Wentai go. Instead, they only used the Toad mantra as a tool for borrowing power. Step on the toad's head and jump up. Let his height rise again a little bit. Only then barely managed to reach the height where Ron and Oshimaru were. No, we are still a step slower. There is no way to save Ron before he is hit. Jilai said with a frown. Tsunade also had an expression that was not optimistic. Oops, if you are hit by this trick, I'm afraid it will be more unfortunate. Thousands of fists, if they are all concentrated at one point, the power they produce is really terrifying. Ron, this little guy, don't know if he can bear it. After all, the two of them can't fly, so even if he rushed over as quickly as possible, he was still a step late. The Dashimaru on the side gave the two of them a glance. They are completely ignored. Fight at this high altitude. With these two people flying in a state where they can't fly, it doesn't pose any threat to him at all. At this time, thousands of fists have already blasted in the direction Ron was in. And Ron, with a spear in his hand, stabbed directly forward. Turned into a bit of cold light, advertisement very fast. This cold light has reached its peak. The whole body turned into a meteor with golden light. The spear is like a dragon. There was a boom. A bit of handmang directly confronted thousands of fists. In an instant, there was a roar, immediately afterwards. These thousands of giant hands came in contact with the spear the moment they arrived. Cracked instantly, the great thousand-handed giant Buddha. No matter how fast the wood grows, unexpectedly, it couldn't stop the spear from a single point. Ron was like a meteor, instantly penetrate the thousand-hand giant Buddha. Stabbed directly at Da Shiwan's forehead. Dashimaru has not been relieved from the joy just now. Unexpectedly, this guy Ron could actually break through the hand-in-hand giant Buddha's attack. Killed like this with one shot, how can this be? It feels like death is coming. Let Oshimaru instinctively summon the first generation of Naruto directly in front of him. He knew that, by virtue of himself, if he was hit, he would undoubtedly die. However, a bit of coldness comes first, and the largest hand on the thousand-hand giant Buddha did the same action as the original one. If you were directly slapped in the palm of your hand by two big hands during the flight, it was directly penetrated by Ron. There was a boom. The first generation of Hokage collapsed directly into the air and turned into a raging fire. The first generation of Hokage immediately put his hands together. And the direction the two palms are facing is the direction Ron is in. 5.22 Giant Buddha Mudra also put their hands together at the same time. The spear cut through the air and directly pierced the forehead of the first generation. Next moment, 4 more, today end, Orochimaru. These two big hands tightly blocked Ron for less than 0.1 second. Chang Tu was reincarnated in the first generation and died. Has he recovered again? I hope the first generation can resist it for a while. Chapter 201, Auto-generated chapter title, 201, Threaten me? Guess I will kill you? Ron's shot was really amazing. In this sunset, it's like a meteor. All Sanin was stunned. Jilai was even unbelievably stuck in the air. He and Tsunade had come here to rescue Ron, but never expected. Because it is impossible to fly, time is too late. So they couldn't rescue Ron from Thousand Hands. They thought Ron must have been bad luck. But never expected, the situation has completely reversed. Ron actually broke through the 14-handed Buddha with a gun directly. Even the first generation was killed directly. This is definitely something that I didn't even dare to think about before. Face this kind of attack. Ron's figure is so small. It was so powerful. Tsunade on the side also had the same expression. At this moment, they are slowly falling from the air. Ron. This guy, he has surpassed my cognition. I can't imagine that with such a weak body, he can actually be in the sword. And the most terrifying thing is that it directly defeated the attack of the Great Buddha of Thousand Hands. Even Uchiha Madara couldn't catch this attack. Unexpectedly, Ron would directly break through with a spear. Advertisement. This gave Tsunade a great illusion. It seemed that Ron in front of him was no longer a child, but a giant. Jilaya nodded. Yes, we still wanted to come and rescue him, but we didn't expect to need to save him at all. It seems that Ron is not doing this because chakra is exhausted. Our previous inferences turned out to be untrue. Unexpectedly, they could make the 239s misjudge the result of the battle at the same time. This is the first time ever, since the first generation is dead, then Dashawan. Jilai frowned and took a deep breath. Oshimaru shouldn't live long, right? Just nodded. That's right, without the Hitsukage, Oshimaru is a living target, and his strength is definitely not Ron's opponent. I just don't know if Ron will kill him. Jilai also has some questions. After all, the first generation was just a reincarnation of Chang Tu. For a child like Ron, it is possible to kill a Chang Tu reincarnation, but I don't think it's anything. But if it is a real person, will you be soft-hearted? Although Jiraiya and Tsunade didn't want Oshimaru to be killed. After all, he was also a former partner no matter what. But the current situation does not allow them to speculate wildly. If you say, for a while, if Ron can't bear to kill Oshimaru, then the two of them will definitely make a move and grab the Dashawan. Advertisement. But if Ron really kills Oshimaru in a moment, the two of them didn't know whether to stop Ron or not. After all, if the big snake really died under their noses, it would be unacceptable for the two of them. So, now the two are more hesitant. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Although it is dead to speak out, 780 did not directly collapse. I saw him take a deep breath and said, Ron stood on it. Aren't you afraid of revealing your identity? Did I tell you that if you are idle, don't come over and mess with me? One more, and Ron at this moment. Now I am the one who knows your true identity. If I yelled here, guess what? He hasn't recovered from the scene where Ron was killed in the first generation. Da Shiwan looked very nervous, but this giant Buddha of Mutong still stands here. Looking at the big snake pill that keeps receding. Said in a very cold tone, also came to the head of the Buddha. Guess, will I kill you? Chapter 202, Auto-generated chapter title. 202. Dashawan. Are you crazy? You are really not afraid of me exposing you? Dashimaru really has no other way now, only use this to threaten Ron. After all, through the battle just now, he also judged that Ron had been hiding his strength. No, to be precise, it should be Ron who has been hiding his identity. As long as it is a battle that is exposed to sight. Ron had never used the state he was in half a month ago. Only when the view is blocked, Ron will only use the power he showed half a month ago. The clever big snake pill, it can be judged immediately. Ron did this, just to prevent yourself from being exposed. In other words, Ron must have other purposes in Konoha village. Otherwise, the identity will not be hidden, and now he knows Ron's true identity. I've seen two faces of Ron at the same time, there is only Dashimaru alone. So, at this moment, Dashawan will be so arrogant. He wanted to use his information to blackmail Ron. Because Dashimaru knows. Just call it out here, then, Ron's identity will be made public. After all, there are still two Sannin here. Could it be that Ron would still be unable to make a shot at these 239s? Once if I fight with Tsunade de Jilai, then, it is absolutely impossible for Ron to stay here unscathed. Advertisement. This is also the reason why Oshimaru would suddenly threaten Ron. He thinks, captured Ron's lifeblood, the big snake pill at this moment. There is only this last killer copper. He backed away and said to Ron. It's easy, just let me go, then I will keep your secret and I won't let anyone at Konoha know. But if you really want to kill me, do you think you can go faster than my mouth? Just need me to call out your true identity, then you think the following 2-3 ninjas, they won't be suspicious? Although, I don't know the secret of your stay in Konoha village. But I can be sure that you don't want to reveal your identity. How about this deal? You can do it or not. Dashiwan seems to be confident. But even so, he kept his eyes fixed on Ron, so that the moment Ron just started. He immediately made Ron's true identity public. Ron shook his head slightly. I am indeed hiding my identity, but, do you think this can threaten me? You think too much. Ron just wanted to stay quietly in Konoha village for 90 days. But, his location is not limited to Konoha village. You can stay anywhere for 90 days, so Ron's threat from Oseimaru was useless at all. Konoha is not the reason why Ron hides his identity. It was because Ron was too lazy to move, although the threat of Dashimaru was useless to Ron. Advertisement. But, Ron didn't like being threatened. Now, Ron's expression became a little unkind, and the big snake pill. When I heard Ron's words, I thought Ron was deliberately defrauding. Just to deceive yourself, after all, he firmly believes. If Ron doesn't care about revealing his identity, why should he restrain his fighting style? So, he didn't believe it at all. Ron was not afraid to reveal his identity. I advise you to stand there and don't move. As long as you move, I will call out your identity immediately. Then, Dashiwan continued to threaten. Dashimaru couldn't help frowning. However, prepared to speak out Ron's identity, too, is more pure. This guy is deliberately walking slowly. Is he here to provoke himself? Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Ron actually walked over. Oshimaru thought that if he really couldn't run, it wouldn't make Ron feel better. At the same time, the whole body is slowly moving backward. He didn't mind his threats, Zhao Qian's, at all. What Dashimaru didn't expect was. He moved, and Ron walked very slowly, so Oshimaru directly faced Jiraiya and Tsunade. He thought I dare not say it, ready to leave Konoha village immediately. Then don't blame me. That being the case, Chapter 203, Auto-Generated Chapter Title. 203. Yuki Orochi is no more than that, the true identity of this man is. Oshimaru opened her mouth, and was about to shout in the direction of Jiraiya and Tsunade. However, halfway through the conversation, suddenly, a cold light flashed in front of him. Very fast, when the reaction came to death after killing. He has even seen his body separate from his brain. Ron shot Oshimaru directly in the head. Dashimaru's expression of horror has not faded. He couldn't believe it. How could Ron's speed be so fast? Soon he couldn't see it at all. When he said this just now, he was also on guard against Ron in advance, for fear that Ron would sneak attack. But never expected, even if he was 1,000 times on guard. Still useless. 783 Ron's speed is far beyond his estimate. Damn it. But Dashiwan is Dashiwan after all. He will not die because of his head beheaded. I saw Dashiwan's body left on the ground, suddenly as if peeling. A brand new body emerged from the body just now. That body slowly withered just now. The new Oshimaru has no scars all over his body. Just looked at Ron in shock. At this moment, he didn't want to escape directly to the rear. At the same time, both hands quickly form a seal. Then he slapped to the ground. In an instant, a big snake with 8 heads came out suddenly. Advertisement, and it got out of Dashiwan's body. This is the last life-saving skill of Oshimaru. Baki, BEFC, Big Snake. This is a mythical beast. The power is huge. Moreover, as long as one tongue of the 8 snake heads is immortal, this big snake will not die. I saw the big snake very fast, almost instantly. He appeared in front of Ron. At the same time, the 8 huge mouths began to spray all kinds of poisonous mist. Suddenly, the entire venue turned into a purple one. The air is full of poison. Even if it touches the skin, it will corrode the skin immediately. But Dashiwan didn't look back, and continued to choose to run away. Jiraiya and Tsunade looked at each other. No, it's Yachi Orochi. Don't let this poison be breathed in, otherwise you may not even be able to stand it. Jira also said to Tsunade immediately, just nodded. Don't worry, there is absolutely nothing wrong with me. The most important thing now is that you must not let the Dashiwan run away. Let's go after the Dashiwan as soon as possible. Jilai also nodded, and then said again, no, let's go chasing Dashiwan. What will Ron do? He can't hold on to this poisonous mist for too long. Tsunade shook his head and said, there is no ATC Ron now. If you don't get rid of the Oshimaru this time, he will be reincarnated in dirty soil in the future. This guy will sooner or later become a trouble for the shinobi world. Jilai also frowned. They also followed. He also didn't expect that Tsunade planned to give up Ron directly, but to choose one of the two. Of course, it is more important to catch Osemaru. Jilai has no objection, however, when they just chased in the direction of Dashimaru. Advertisement. Suddenly, a cold light flashed by. Ron flicked his two wings hard, the entire mist exploded unexpectedly. Ron flew out of the fog, one shot directly, for a moment. Cut off all 8 heads of Yachi Orochi directly. The whole figure is like a shooting star, instantly appeared behind Da Shiwan. The spear turned into a bit of cold light, stabbed directly at the back of Da Shiwan. He carried a spear, densely packed, thousands of plays lie in majesty. 3 more, a piece of Wujuju rushed out. Da Shiwan is in desperation. Da Shiwan didn't expect it. Da Shiwan, this is to summon all the snakes it can summon all at once. That kind of poison didn't even work on Ron. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Almost even the entire sky was covered by a dark day. Suddenly, the whole behind became black. Yuki Orochi didn't stop Ron's footsteps. Killed Yuki Orochi directly, and this guy doesn't seem to use ninjutsu at all. Both hands quickly settled immediately, like a sea of snakes. Ready to swallow Ron directly. Chapter 204, Auto-generated chapter title. 204. Ignore the sea of snakes. What is the life and death of Konoha to me? Facing this snake wave like the sea, the sense of oppression brought is great. After all, snakes crawling together in dense clusters are still disgusting. Not only Ron felt sick, even Jiraiya and Tsunade felt sick. Especially Tsunade, he even turned his head away. It's really hard to face, like a disgusting snake tide. Oshimaru still uses such disgusting tricks. He has summoned all the snakes he can summon. Is that? It looks like this guy is already out of skill. Jilai also nodded, but what's more terrifying is that Ron guy. Unexpectedly, the Yuki Orochi just now has no way of being very venomous. It seems that this guy really should not be underestimated. It's just that we didn't save him just now. Will it be missed by him? Even Jilai is more worried. After all, just now when Ron was trapped in the poisonous fog. He and Tsunade didn't choose to save Ron, but chose to hunt down Osemaru. If Ron died in the fog, it would be nice to say, but he rushed out unharmed. This makes Jiraiya and Tsunade's actions just now unreasonable. And Lo Yang will definitely notice the direction of the two of them just now. They will also know that they didn't choose to save themselves just now. So at this moment, Jilai also has some worries. He was afraid that Ron would have any bad feelings about the two of them. Advertisement. Tsunade shook his head and said, "This is not important now. We went to the situation just now and it was of no avail. I believe you will understand. And our first task is to catch the Osha pill. Saving Ron is actually not part of our mission. Otherwise, Tsunade is more suitable for Hokage than Zaran. It's because when it comes to key issues, Jiraiya's thinking is more perceptual. Tsunade is much more rational." Jilida also glanced at Tsunade. Did not say much, but still can't dispel the worries in his heart. At the same time, the wave of snakes in the skyless day had already rushed over. Almost all of the sky is completely obscured. There are even some snakes falling from the sky. And under the shelter of this snake tide, everyone can no longer see Dashiwan. In other words, now is the best time to escape from Oshimaru. He must have escaped. Damn it, so many snakes, if you don't get rid of them all, if you let them rush into Konoha. That was a fatal blow to the entire Konoha village. But there are too many snakes, right? Jiraiya and Tsunade hope Ron can solve all these snakes. After all, if it were put in, it would be a disaster for Konoha village. And according to Ron's character, surely these snakes will be solved. But this time, Jiraiya and Tsunade were wrong. Advertisement. Ask for flowers. What happens when these snakes flow into Konoha village? It has nothing to do with Ron. Ron also had no obligation to wipe them all out. The 5th form of Spirit Spear proliferates. The Spirit Spear in Ron's hand instantly turned into countless shurikens. Then stabbed forward in a swarm, almost instantly. Just cut a bloody path in the sky of snake tide. Ron didn't care about the snake behind him. Then he broke through the hole and flew out, the moment it flies back. The whole Spirit Spear slowly converged into a Spirit Spear from the state of the shuriken. It fell into Ron's hands again. Ron looked down. Use so many snakes to contain Ron. Ron didn't care if these snakes would enter Konoha village. And rushed down, then nothing else. Originally, Oshimaru still hoped. Ron really ignored these snakes. Dashiwan did not expect it either. Ron actually broke through his snake wave so quickly. These are all plays lie in majesty, but never expected. After all, holding a Spirit Spear, the wings are fanned. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Immediately locked the position of Da Shiwan. Could he just watch all these snakes enter the village of Konoha and hurt people? Chapter 205, Auto-generated chapter title, 205. Without the slightest strength to fight back, kill the Oshimaru. Looking at Ron who appeared in front of him, Dashimaru now has nothing to do. The snake wave that I just used, now it became his shackles. Because of this huge wave of snakes, the crowd blocked the sight. Jiraiya and Tsunade can't see here anymore, not as expected by Dashiwan. Ron at the moment was that strong again, is walking towards him step by step. Whenever Ron uses this state, he can feel a huge sense of oppression. Some people even dare not look directly at Dashiwan. You, 783, Oshimaru pointed to Ron. Suddenly didn't know what to say, now there's only regret in his heart. I really regret it, if he didn't provoke Ron at the time. It is estimated that there will be no such ending. I want to come now. At the time, I didn't know what my mind was thinking, why would I provoke him? But, regret is no longer useful, the tricks I can use have already been used. Now Dashimaru has no moves and can deal with Ron. Those big tricks don't work well. Want to really start him using low-level ninjutsu? This is even more impossible. High-level ninjutsu is useless, how can low-level ninjutsu be useful? It's just that I think so, but when the catastrophe is imminent. Oshimaru still subconsciously released some ninjutsu. Advertisement Fengtong made a big breakthrough, water flows through the water dragon bomb. The two ninjutsu bombarded Ron directly, however, I didn't expect it. Ron was handed one by one, and he bounced to the side very casually. There was a boom, it exploded on the left and right sides of Ron. It didn't stop Ron's footsteps at all, wasting my time. Ron's expression remained so indifferent, looking at the big snake pill, which keeps moving backwards. Then it accelerated sharply, he grabbed Dashiwan by the neck. For people like Dashimaru, it destroys his body, basically it can't kill him. With his strange ninjutsu, it can be reborn every time by talking about the skin. So it is very troublesome, so Ron simply came up with a fix once and for all. He grabbed Oshimaru's neck directly, Ron's speed in this state is too fast. Dashiwan had no chance to evade at all. Ron's height is 3 times that of Oshimaru. Very oppressive. Just keep your head down. Slowly move the big snake pill, raised to the height of his level. At the moment, Dashiwan looked panicked, it's totally different from what a Sannin should be. This is the first time Oshimaru is so close to death. Who are you? This question has been lingering in Dashiwan's heart. The feeling Ron gave Oshimaru was really weird. Not only is he able to switch back and forth between the 3 states, but also has that terrifying strength. Advertisement these are all Oshimaru, I haven't seen it before. That's why he made him curious, even when it's dying. Dashimaru also wants to know this secret, however, Ron is not interested in talking nonsense with him. You don't have to know. Ron slapped the hand on Oshimaru's neck, and suddenly there was a burst of fire. Condensed version of the unmerciful sun covers the whole body of Dashiwan. Just a moment, the whole Dashiwan burned violently. It was reduced to ashes in less than 2 seconds. Blowing away in the wind, there was no trace of the existence of the big snake pill on the entire ground. Dashimaru is already dead and can't die anymore. Ron's current template progress has reached 30%. Before unlocking Ma Lin's template, Ron didn't want to fight these time and space ninjas. Not a single snake ran out from here. Feel the proximity of the 4 generations of Hokage. Ron shook his head speechlessly. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. He usually has finished dinner at this time, at the same time. I didn't expect to waste half an hour of my time because of you. That is to say in 5.2, there are still 70 days before the template can be stacked to 100%. Ron inquired about the progress of his crimes of laziness template. This guy is here. He also needs to rely on the model of 1% daily growth and spend 70 days here. It did not gain any growth from killing the Oshimaru. So it became the appearance of the sin of laziness. 5 more, it was the familiar child again, in other words. Chapter 206, Auto-generated chapter title, 206. Ron. That's your business, it has nothing to do with me. He actually killed Dashiwan, it looks like what I expected was good. Maru really isn't his opponent. Unexpectedly, at a young age, the shot would be so cruel. Jiraiya and Tsunade could not help taking a deep breath. Although Oshimaru is dead, but the tens of thousands of lion majesties summoned by Oshimaru still pouring into Konoha village, and Ron didn't resist these snakes. Because it has nothing to do with him. Killing Oshimaru was entirely because Oshimaru blocked her way. As for these snakes, it didn't stop 14 in front of him, but behind him. So for Ron, there is no need to deal with them, as for Konoha's safety. Naturally, it was handed over to Konoha's people. Ron didn't bother to care, so Ron continued to walk towards his lounge. However at the moment, Jiraiya and Tsunade, facing the tide of tens of thousands of snakes, frowned. No, we must stop him, otherwise Konoha village will be over. Jiraiya said in a deep voice. Tsunade frowned, too. The quantity is too much, there is no way to kill them all. Why don't you let Ron help? Fire escape Toad oil bomb. Advertisement Jilai quickly got a fire, and it became an isolation zone in front of the village. But his fire escape is limited after all. There is no way to block all the roads into the village. And these snakes, it is pervasive again, there is simply no way to intercept them all. Currently, I can only find a way to ask Ron for help. It can only be this way. Ron's shurikens are also extremely large if they attack these snakes. It should be faster than us. Jiraiya and Tsunade looked at each other. Then he said to the back who was about to leave here. Little friend Ron, can you get rid of these snakes if you let them enter Konoha? I'm afraid that the entire village of Konoha will be killed. However, Ron just waved his back to them. That's your business. It has nothing to do with me. The tone is still so indifferent. In this way, Jiraiya and Tsunade frowned, not knowing what to say. Don't you have the heart to die without saving? Tsunade asked. Ron snorted slightly. Didn't you just now? One sentence. He took Tsunade directly to Shinobu. That's right. Just a few minutes ago, when Ron was in the midst of Yuki Orochi snake venom. At that time, Tsunade did not choose to save Ron. And now she is standing on the moral high ground to accuse Ron of not saving the people in the village. Advertisement. Ron endured it with a word. Tsunade also closed his mouth. There is unavoidable embarrassment, and at this moment, the fourth generation of Hokage finally arrived, looking at this unbearable situation. Cannot help but frown. What the hell happened here? How come there are so many snakes? Where is the Dashimaru people? 4 generations look far away. No sign of Dashawan was found. So this is how I asked. At the same time, Oshimaru was really killed by Ron. And in a corner where no one noticed. What? At the same time, he looked at the distant back. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Order the members of Anbu. 6 more, today end. Maru has been killed by that kid. Watch this scene with my own eyes. Immediately surrounded the village, began to use Chi Li 783 to cast the barrier. He also became the only one who knew Ron's identity. Uchiha brought the soil slowly into the ground. It turns out that he was the same person from half a month ago. Keep these lion majesty out, Bofeng Shuiman said incredulously. Pradanam, you are finally here, Jiraiya said while performing Huo escape. Chapter 207, Auto-generated chapter title, 207. Ron became a star in the ninja school and gained 2 little fans. Ron really didn't care about the snake tied behind him. Instead, just like this in everyone's eyes, go straight home. When things go, hidden merit and fame, do not know either. How long have they been cleaning up here? It is said that the entire Auntie staff was mobilized, plus all the ninjas of Konoha. Busy all night. All the snakes were cleaned up. The next day, Ron was as usual, went to class at ninja school. When passing by yesterday's battlefield, seeing blood on the floor, could not help but shook his head. This group of guys cleaned up too unclean, right? The smell of blood is soaring, mainly because there are too many snakes. Forget it, let's take a detour. Ron walked in the other direction very disgustedly. Today, the atmosphere of the entire ninja school is different. Although there are many little ninjas, they did not know the specific details of the battle that took place yesterday. But, their parents were responsible for cleaning up the snake yesterday. So, when I came back, I told the kids what happened yesterday. When they arrived at the ninja school today, they all stared at Ron's seat swarmingly. Before they thought this was just an ordinary classmate. Advertisement but never expected. This guy could even defeat the Oshimaru, one of the 3 ninjas. It's amazing. Children are easy to admire the strong. Even the class is not ready at this moment, waiting eagerly for Ron to arrive. Actually, as usual, Ron has arrived now. It's just a detour today. So it's slow. The moment Ron entered the ninja school, I finally realized what a star-like feeling is. The whole playground was surrounded by little ninjas. There are even ninja teachers. The moment Ron entered the school gate, almost everyone heard an exclamation, almost startled Ron. What are these guys doing? Are they sick? Ron said silently. He just wanted to spend 90 days quietly. Now there are only 70 days left. For 20 days, it has been good to hide in the ninja school as an ordinary ninja. Other ninjas are also used to treating him as a transparent person. But now, I have completely become the focus here. Ron came to the classroom just for ordinary people. It is very rare. Today Uchiha Itachi also came to class. He just saw Ron sitting down. He immediately leaned forward and said, "No, Ron, I didn't expect you to be so good. I heard about yesterday. You can even defeat the Dashawan, and it is said that Dashimaru also channeled the 1st and 2nd generations of Hokage. Advertisement, can you tell me how you beat them?" Uchiha Itachi was very curious, staring at a pair of big watery eyes. Staring at Ron, asked. Ron shook his head helplessly. Said casually, "It's just defeated by ordinary." Uchiha Itachi heard it. Ron felt even more incredible. Is it easy to defeat Sannin no Shimaru? Is it easy for him? This is no wonder. After all, he can defeat Kakashi just by relying on shuriken. Uchiha Itachi was thinking about this day's class. This guy Ron will be like him next year. How did it become so powerful? It doesn't stop at the end of get out of class today. At this time, or, teach us ninjutsu. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Seeing Ron and Uchiha Itachi coming over, after all, it is different from those who only hear what happened from their parents. It just so happened that I ran into Uchiha Shisui again. So he was even more excited. One more outline. Pulling Uchiha Itachi and Ron, they came to a clearing. Ron was wondering. Uchiha Shisui said suddenly, Ron rushed over immediately. In the first half of the battle, Duan Yujibo stopped Zhao Qianhao, water, but he saw it. Ron came home from school with a bunch of little ninjas behind him. I don't know where this guy is going to do it, Just as Ron was thinking about how to get rid of these little fans. Shishui is also very excited. 0 Chapter 208, Auto-generated chapter title. 208. Itachi. Can you escape from the fire? Or I will teach you. Ron was speechless. Aren't these two geniuses known as the Uchiha clan? Really carry forward the spirit of asking without shame. Since ran over to ask him, there seemed to be signs of Ron being impatient. Uchiha Itachi said immediately, just tell us how can we become as strong as you? This is indeed. Uchiha Itachi was very curious about the question. After all, Ron is not too old. At this age, he has only seen Ron one person who can achieve this. I'm afraid Uchiha Madara, the founder of their Uchiha clan. It's impossible to have such an achievement at this age. Uchiha Shisui also leaned forward, then said, we can trade ninjutsu with you. How about this? Let's swap ninjutsu with each other. Heard this sentence, 783 Uchiha Itachi nodded repeatedly. Yes. Let's change each other's ninjutsu learning so that no one suffers. Ron wasn't interested in their ninjutsu, but being entangled by such two guys. Actually, it's also very annoying, so Ron said, alright, then what ninjutsu do you trade for? Seeing Ron finally let go, Uchiha Shisui also let out a sigh of relief. Then he said to Uchiha Itachi, advertisement, you first. Uchiha Itachi thought for a while. After all, he is a member of the Uchiha clan, and his best is definitely Huo Dun. So said, then I'll show you the art of the great fireball. This is also my skill. Ron nodded and said, can. Seeing Ron seemed very interested, Uchiha became more interested in Itachi. Immediately began to perform ninjutsu, he quickly seals. Then facing the lake not far away, put your hand near your mouth. Blow hard. In an instant, a huge fireball shot out. Rushed directly towards the lake, blazing temperature. Make the entire lake hot. After a while, the fireball disappeared into the air. Uchiha Itachi said proudly, this is the unique fire escape ninjutsu of our Uchiha clan. How about I trade this shuriken ninjutsu with you? Uchiha Itachi is still more interested in Ron's shuriken. After all, it's like the kind of ninjutsu that can control the flying direction of the shuriken at will. Naturally, it is very attractive to Uchiha Itachi. So, at this moment, Uchiha Itachi looked at Ron with watery eyes with two big eyes. I hope that his art of blasting the fireball will arouse Ron's interest. Advertisement let Ron teach him, BEFC, the ninjutsu that can control the shuriken to fly freely. Ron took a deep breath, then he shook his head and said, your fire escape, to be honest, a bit too weak. I'm not very interested. I heard Ron say that. Uchiha Itachi's face was a bit uncontrollable. How is this possible? Are you still more powerful than me? The two little guys had never seen Ron use fire. Every time Ron fought in front of them, the practical thing was a template for the crime of laziness. So the two didn't even know that Ron would use fire. This is also the reason why Uchiha Itachi would offer to exchange fire escape. Seeing Uchiha Itachi said so, Ron shook his head helplessly. Without exposing the crime of arrogance, Ron finished. Your fire escape shouldn't have surpassed mine, so is there anything wrong with what I just said? Uchiha Itachi and Shisui were completely stunned when they saw this scene. However, Ron obviously wouldn't do this, and Ron's actually blew up the entire lake. The fireball in his hand fell directly into the lake just now. In an instant, the entire lake exploded directly. A fireball slightly larger than Uchiha Itachi's fireball appeared in Ron's hand. This is still the result of Ron's control, if you really do it all. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Then Ron said, throw it lightly, then the entire lake water will evaporate directly. It was completely different from Uchiha Itachi's fireball just now. Ron held out a finger, he didn't want his peaceful life to be disturbed again. Uchiha Itachi's fireball was directly annihilated when it entered the lake. Chapter 209, Auto-generated chapter title, 209. If you want to exchange ninjutsu, unless you exchange for writing rounds. Uchiha Itachi originally wanted to use fire dun to exchange shuriken ninjutsu with Ron. But never thought of it. The opponent's Huo dun was higher than his own, so he didn't know what level it was. The most important thing is, the other party didn't have Ji in at all. You should know that he just made the fire escape, but it has been sealed for a long time. And the opponent can instantly cast ninjutsu without not printing. The gap between the two sides, it goes without saying. This is simply a judgment, Uchiha Itachi said in surprise. Why don't you use Ji-in? Can you instantly cast this kind of ninjutsu at any time? Ron nodded and said nothing, not too lazy to respond to him. Uchiha Itachi seemed to have discovered a new world. It was the first time he saw someone who could punish ninjutsu without Ji-in. I really don't understand the principle, it can only be attributed to the limit of blood succession. It seems that you also have a special pedigree. Uchiha Itachi thought, do you have anything else I am interested in? If not, I will leave. Ron didn't plan to continue fighting with these little guys. Going home. It's getting late too. If Ron just finished saying this sentence. Uchiha Itachi couldn't sit still, he really wanted to learn Ron's magical shuriken skills. He is handsome and good at shuriken, advertisement. And Ron's shuriken was above him, you can even turn without colliding with each other. This is what Itachi couldn't understand, so, can't wait to learn. But he really couldn't exchange any other ninjutsu with Ron. For one. For those who don't even need the seal of Huo Dun. Uchiha Itachi couldn't think of it either. He has some ninjutsu, but the other party doesn't have it. But now, in addition to the shuriken, Uchiha Itachi. I'm also interested in Ron's skill that can release ninjutsu without using the seal. It's just that he exhausted his brains. I also didn't think that I had any ninjutsu that I could come up with. I don't have ninjutsu for the time being. Wait a minute, I will go home to study now, and I will change with you tomorrow. Uchiha Itachi was a little lost, but did not give up. He decided to go home and learn 2 tricks from his father. Since Uchiha Itachi does not have ninjutsu to exchange, now only Uchiha Shisui is left. Or, I'll exchange my instantaneous technique with you. He thought about it carefully. Maybe he can only impress the opponent with the strongest ninjutsu. Originally, Uchiha Shisui didn't want to change it. After all, he wasn't interested in Ron's shuriken skills either. So, this time it was all to accompany Uchiha Itachi. But, Ron just showed that you can release the state of ninjutsu without ki-in. Just what he needs, if he can also master this kind of ninjutsu. Advertisement ask for flowers. You can make instant stop water more ultimate. After all, although he claims to be instantaneous. But not really that fast, because his ninjutsu also needs ji-in. Most of Uchiha Shisui's time was actually wasted on Yuki. If it can be done like Ron, you don't need ji-in to use ninjutsu. Then, his strength will be even higher, only then can it be called a true instantaneous body. So, Uchiha Shisui decided temporarily, if it is your eyes, I will consider it. Ron said casually, so I am not interested in his clone. 3 more pills, Ron will be cloned himself. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Only, then what do you want in exchange? But, Ron wasn't interested in his clone either. When Uchiha heard this, Shimizu was taken aback. You must exchange your strongest ninjutsu with the other party. Uchiha Shisui is nervous now. I was afraid that Ron would reject him. The main reason is that I really don't want these 2 guys to continue to disturb myself. Uchiha Shisui asked again and again, looked at Ron's expression. Sorry, you lost to me last time as a clone, so I am not interested in your clone. Chapter 210. Auto-generated chapter title, 210. Was invited to dinner at Bofeng Shuiman's house. Does he know my writing wheel? Uchiha Shisui couldn't help being taken aback. Because his writing wheel eyes are different, it's different from everyone else. His writing wheel is a secret that must never be told to other people. Because it is too pervert, if anyone knows his writing wheel eyes. It is estimated that I will be thinking about it. This too. No one has told Uchiha Shisui the main reason. I don't even know the current wrong. I heard Ron say that. Uchi's 787, Boja Shui immediately closed his mouth and stopped talking. If you let him change the writing wheel, this is obviously unwise. Uchiha Shisui would never do that. If you use eyes, then forget it. Jashui scratched his head and said. Ron nodded. He was satisfied with the result. Now I can finally get rid of these 2 followers. Well, if there is nothing else, then I will leave first. After Ron finished speaking, he turned his head and prepared to leave. However, he still underestimated the curiosity of Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Itachi. Wait a moment. Uchiha Itachi still ran forward to stop Ron. What's the matter with you? Ron said obviously impatiently. Uchiha Itachi touched his head awkwardly. Advertisement. Then say, can you show it again? Ron frowned with his hands behind his head. Show what? Uchiha Itachi was a little uninterested in talking about it. It's the kind of shuriken that can change direction. Ron was really speechless. Uchiha Itachi's studious is too strong. Even if I show it 100 times, you won't be able to learn it. You treat it as the blood succession boundary. Ron thought for a while and said in a way acceptable to their world. Sure enough, is the blood succession boundary? It seems I can't learn. It was a bit regretful to hear that it was the blood inheritance limit Uchiha Itachi. As the holder of the blood succession boundary, Uchiha Itachi knew. It is impossible to learn without a special bloodline. Just like their writing wheel eyes, except for the Uchiha clan, everyone else wants to have Shiluyan, unless it is by grabbing. It is impossible to rely on cultivation, seeing Uchiha Itachi lost. Ron summoned the Spirit Spear casually, the 5th form of the Spirit Spear. Proliferation, following Ron's fingers gently twitched. In an instant, the Spirit Spear turned into countless shurikens. The first time Uchiha Itachi saw how Ron summoned from his hand. It turned out to be split with this gun. What kind of ninjutsu is this again? Sure enough, it is blood succession boundary. I can't see through it. Watching Ron control countless shurikens, spinning in the sky. As if controlling his own hands. Advertisement so dexterous. Make Uchiha Itachi envy. Well, there are no requirements now, right? Go home now. It's getting dark. Your mother told you to go home for dinner. Ron shook his head. It's like sending a child, said to Uchiha Itachi. Afterwards, he walked towards his residence alone. Only Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Shisui were left with their surprised eyes. Never expected. Ron thought that today could end peacefully. Unexpectedly on the way home, it turned out to be in trouble again. This trouble turned out to be the fourth generation of Hokage. I saw the Watergate of the Wave, he was standing in front of Ron's room right now. What is this guy doing here? Ron sighed helplessly. It's really hard to spend every day quietly, these one by one. I have nothing to do to find myself. Noisy, our little hero Konoha is back 5.2. 4 generations of Wave Feng Shuiman greeted, a very awkward opening. Ron gave him a helpless look, asked straightforwardly. What's up? Bo Feng Shuiman laughed, then said. Yesterday you defeated Dashuan. In order to thank you, I specially invited you to my house for dinner. Bo Feng Shuiman spoke very enthusiastically. Chapter 211, Auto-generated chapter title. 211. Dinner of the 4th generation of Naruto family, Shinkuna's cooking skills are good. Ron was taken aback. Unexpectedly, the 4 generations came here to invite him to dinner. Is this guy's brain sick? Do you have nothing to do in your idle time? Also invited him to eat at home, but Ron didn't have dinner at the moment. I have been healed with those 2 little ghosts for so long just now, and indeed I am hungry. Someone happened to treat you for free. Ron naturally couldn't refuse. So he nodded and said, let's go then. Did the 4 generations of Bo Feng Shuiman expect Ron to agree so happily? Ron's style of behavior. I don't always feel like a person of this age. It is hard to tell that it is a 10-year-old child. Unexpectedly, facing his identity as the 4 Hokage generations. There was never any cramping, on the contrary, it is very natural. But seeing Ron finally agreed, the 14th generation is also very happy. The reason why he came to invite Ron to the house. It was mainly because Ron defeated Oshimaru yesterday. The 4 generations are very curious, after all, she knows the strength of Dashuan very well. It's just that he is not there, did not watch that battle. So, he was very curious about how Ron could defeat Shimaru. Besides, Ron is also the son of prophecy he thinks. Advertisement, so I want to invite her home to find out more. Then, the 4th generation took Ron straight home. Ming Talent was just born at this time, still a baby. The place where the 4 generations live is actually not very far from Ron. About 10 minutes away, the 2 of them arrived. The road was exceptionally quiet. No one said anything? Ron was too lazy to speak. The 4th generation did not find a suitable entry point for the topic. After starting to say a few simple greetings, see Ron is not interested in talking to him. So he closed his mouth. Really, it's like this kind of squirting thing. You have to leave it to Shinkuna to do it, 4 generations or so, think. After coming to the home of 4 generations, Ron is not very unfamiliar with this family, he has seen it before watching anime. I looked around. I found that the surrounding architectural style is not much different from the animation. And Shinkuna was wearing an apron, busy in the kitchen. Seeing the 4th generation and Ron come over, Shinkuna said quickly. The food is ready, this is the first time Ron is here. You are welcome, just sit down. Ron nodded, have to say. The dishes made by Shinkuna are at least okay, advertisement. And Shinkuna's physique is really strong, unexpectedly, if Kyuubi was forcibly deprived of her body, she would survive. Ron sat down. After a glance, Naruto was crying beside him. Could not help but shook his head, this guy is the true prophet. It's just that the 4 generations now think it is wrong. After all, he couldn't possibly have thought that the son of prophecy was his newly born child. Ron didn't bother to explain this misunderstanding. After all, Ron's purpose is to stay here quietly for 90 days. Senai moved quickly. It didn't take long. Besides, he summoned the 1st and 2nd generations of Naruto. P9 feet. Ah this. If Dashuan is not strong, then who is strong? A few people have already eaten it. 4 generations thought it would be a chance to invite Ron over for dinner and then ask more questions. Ron said as he ate, 787 are you talking human words? For 4 generations, Ron has been eating there. I don't know how you did it. Ron was more difficult to communicate than he expected. Never expected. Ron, I heard that you defeated Oshimaru yesterday. I couldn't help it, so I asked. Chapter 212, Auto-generated chapter title. 212. Ron's hometown, Marineford Village, Chief Sea Shadow Sengoku. Actually, I still have a question. I don't know which village Ron was originally from. This is where the 4th generation of Hokage is more curious. I haven't paid attention to it before, at that time after all. It just felt that Ron might be the son of prophecy. There is no absolute certainty, so he didn't care too much about Ron's life experience. But, since Ron was able to defeat Dashimaru at a young age, the 4 generations are very convinced, Ron must be the son of that prophecy. Since it is the son of prophecy, some things must be understood clearly. Especially Ron's life experience. In fact, he had already sent the Anbu staff to investigate. Take the conjecture of 4 generations, he believes that Ron is a war refugee. The Ninja World War happened not long ago. Ron was probably a kid from a destroyed village at that time. The 4th generation sent Anbu personnel to inspect the destroyed village nearby. But no information about Ron was obtained. This made the 4 generations have to invite Ron to the house. Ask yourself about this question. Ron, who is eating, is having a headache. Ron was not from this world. Of course it is impossible to tell which village. Besides this kind of thing, advertisement Ron knew it too. No matter which village is mentioned, the 4 generations can actually send people to investigate. This made Ron eat this meal a little uncomfortable. He was even prepared. It seems that the rest of the day will be uneasy. If it is found out by the 4 generations, I am the same person from half a month ago. So estimate, it is inevitable that there will be a bloody storm. See Ron not speaking. The 4 generations glanced at Shinjunai. Then Shinkuna said, Ron, kid, don't get me wrong. We ask this, in fact, there is no other meaning, just to be able to find your family. Although families have basically been destroyed after the war, there are still cases where family members are still alive. So we just kindly helped you find your family. Ron glistened slightly. Worthy of being the wife of 4 generations of Hokage. What I said is not leaking. On the surface, it was to find Ron's lost family. In fact, it was to find out Ron's identity. I'm from Marineford Village. Ron said casually. Anyway, they are not afraid of checking. It can drag on one more day. Just talk about a village, let them check it. If it really reveals the identity, then there is no need to hide it anymore. The big deal is to change to another place and spend 70 days quietly. Many villages in Marin? This is the first time I have heard of it. Advertisement. Shinkuna and Bofeng Mizuno looked at each other. Although there are many villages in this world, they don't know. But this name is too weird. What is the name of the leader of your village? 4 generations asked curiously. Ron thought for a while, then said. It's Hakage, called Sengoku. Ron told Sengoku directly. Sea Shadow. I've heard of Water Shadow. This is the first time I have heard of Sea Shadow. Wave Wind Watergate is Hokage. It stands to reason that he knows the leaders of every village. Although Luo is answering. My meal is finished. Can I, Zhao Qian Zhao, leave? Ready to find this legendary Marineford. You can come to eat often in the future. Seemingly he got up and left without hesitation. Paper. After sending Ron away. Which direction is your village? One more. Are you finished asking now? Ron wiped his mouth after eating. It's a small island in the sea. Bofeng Shuiman continued to ask. The 4 generations immediately sent people to see. Chapter 213. Auto-generated chapter title, 213. Uchiha Madara's concerns. And at this moment, in a place underground, Uchiha Dado just learned Ron's true identity. Came here immediately and reported to Uchiha Madara. Actually, at this time, Uchiha Madara was dying. His funeral has been arranged. Wait now, use the reincarnation technique to resurrect at the right time. However, I didn't expect it. At this time, bringing the soil brought him an incredible news. Uchiha Madara is very old now. I saw him coughing twice and then said. What? What you said is true. Madara Uchiha's voice was very hoarse. Uchiha nodded with dirt and said, yes, I can see clearly. This guy named Ron will change. Half a month ago, the man who killed Kyuubi was Ron at this moment. 787, and he killed the 3rd generation of Hokage half a month ago. Although I don't know why he killed Oshimaru, one thing is certain, that is, he did defeat the 1st generation of Hokage who was reincarnated. These words directly plunged Uchiha Madara into thought. Maybe no one in this world knows Madara's strength better than him. Even if it is an incomplete body reincarnated from the soil. It is absolutely impossible that a ninja can defeat it. This Ron. What the hell is it? Advertisement. How could it be so strong? Now Uchiha Madara doesn't want any changes to disrupt his plan. Ron appeared suddenly, and the strength is still so strong. BEFC. This is beyond Uchiha Madara's plan, and he has not much left in his life now. Not even a single mistake can be made. You go investigate it and see where this guy came from. Remember, if it is not necessary, don't be an enemy of him. Uchiha Madara coughed twice. Finally entrusted, he can already feel it. There is not much left in his own life, before he was resurrected. There must be no trouble. Uchiha Dado also has his own ideas. He certainly didn't know the purpose, but there is one thing. He was in favor of Uchiha Madara, that is, don't mess with Ron yet. Let's figure out his identity first. Now, Ron just walked out of the 4th generation house. In fact, this can be regarded as a relatively mild hangmen banquet. When Ron just left here, Shidai and Shinkuna fell into contemplation. According to teacher Jiraiya, this guy's strength is far better than that of Oshimaru. Advertisement. This is something I haven't thought of before. If it is true, I am afraid I will not be his opponent. The self-contained Bo Feng Shui men looked at the bowl Ron had eaten and fell into deep thought. Shinkuna also nodded and said, and I found a stranger phenomenon. This guy doesn't have chakra inside. As soon as this remark came out, the 4 generations of Wave Feng Shuimen were stunned. Said, what? What did you say? Not at all. The reason why Bofeng Mizuman invited Ron to the house was to let Shinkuna check it out. Shinkuna is a ninja who is good at sealing art and perception art. As long as she has contacted people, can clearly check the opponent's strength. Where is it? There will also be chakras in the body. 2 more. It's called, a village with many marlins. Shinkuna thought for a while, made sure that he felt nothing wrong, and then said, thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Yes, there is no chakra in the body, since Ron doesn't have chakra. How did he release those ninjutsu, this hangmen banquet? Even people who are not good at ninjutsu, it became more determined that the 4 generations must find the awakening of Ron's hometown. This sentence suddenly plunged Bo Feng Shuiman into contemplation. He has never seen a ninja without chakra. It seems that there are many secrets in this guy. Maybe only to find his hometown can we find out. Does such an island really exist? Chapter 214. Auto-generated chapter title, 214, Ron and Kebi. Today is Ron's 20th day picking at Konoha village. In other words, the crime of laziness template has reached 31%. There is currently 69% left. You can start the next template. Today, as always, Ron walked towards the ninja school early. While on the road, met a man walking upside down. Ron turned his head subconsciously, really didn't want to see this person. This is the young version of K. At this moment, he is wielding the power of youth. Walk upside down there. He was getting closer and closer in Ron's direction. Ron quickly changed directions, did not think of. Seeing Ron change direction, K ran upside down in the direction Ron changed. Ron was speechless for a while. He really doesn't want to have too much intersection with this pervert. This guy. Opening your mouth and closing your mouth is youth. It was too embarrassing. It feels embarrassing to know him. It is better not to have any intersections, even though Ron still didn't want to talk to him. Kai still took the initiative to say hello. Wrong, this is Ron, right? For these 2 days, I can hear your deeds every day. K went upside down and came to Ron's side, said. Alas. Ron looked down at him helplessly. Will you stand up and talk? After all, K's perspective, advertisement, it was too embarrassing. No, I still have 100 laps to finish training. K must run 500 laps upside down. Before finishing, I said nothing would stand up. Ron wasn't used to him. Since he didn't stand up, Ron didn't need to talk to him. Ron shook his head, then he walked towards the classroom on his own. Wrong. Wait a minute. I have always heard that your physical skills are very good. Why don't we have a youth contest? K stood upside down and stopped in front of Ron again. Said very proudly, there can be such an opponent. Kai K is very excited, and I heard that this guy defeated Kakashi. Kakashi is Kai's opponent, if he can beat Kakashi. So if you surpass him, don't you also surpass Kakashi? This is why. Early in the morning, K came over to block Ron's cause. It is this unreasonable request again. Ron shook his head helplessly. I don't know if the people in Konoha village are idle and doing nothing. Try to find someone to compete at every turn. The previous Kakashi Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Shisui, one of them counts as one. And now, one more K. Sorry, I don't have time. Ron turned his head and left without looking. Of course K couldn't give up. Rarely meet an opponent. How could K let it go? Advertisement, don't worry, soon. Let's compare the speed, how about it? For flowers, did you see the hill in the distance? We start from here. Who gets there first? Who wins? K continued to walk upside down, said as he walked. Ron looked over there. Sure enough, there is a hill. This hill is very popular, from here to the top of the mountain. There are various terrains throughout the journey. The most difficult thing is to climb that mountain. It seems, this road was also carefully calculated by K. Good. You can try, but if you lose, you have to stay away from me in the future. For such a troublesome guy, if he is not convinced to lose. It is estimated that I will inevitably have to trouble myself in the future. This is something Ron is very reluctant to see. Simply come and get it done once and for all. Let her retreat. After hearing Ron finally agreed. K was of course excited. Then it's a deal. If I lose, I'm sure I won't disturb you in the future. Hearing Ron agree, Kai turned over and stood on the ground. Facing such an opponent, naturally, he couldn't carelessly compare with him by handstand. All the status must be taken out, then let's get started. Chapter 215, Auto-generated chapter title, 215, 2 characters in Konoha village race. Ron looked at Kai with a look of interest and he was really speechless. But, now that he has promised to compete, so, just solve it as soon as possible. Ron looked at K with interest, then said, then let's start now. Unexpectedly, K said suddenly, wait a moment. We still need to wait for a referee. Referee? It doesn't have to be so troublesome, right? Ron shook his head. A referee is needed for such a game. It's totally useless for 787. But K was very determined. There must be a referee. For Ron, although it was a casual test, it was different for K. Kai K takes it very seriously, so, there must be a qualified referee. Only in this way can real strength be exerted, otherwise. Who will determine the outcome? Wait a minute, the referee will be here soon. K's expression suddenly became serious, then he was doing warm-up exercises. He said to Ron, well, then wait for you for a while. Ron looked at the time, because I came earlier today. So it's not time for classes at the ninja school. He can still get it out at this point, advertisement. At this moment, successive students have entered the ninja school. There are some more curious students. Stop here to watch 2 people. After all, Ron is the man who came to campus during this time. And, the man in green is also a figure in the village of Konoha. Find people everywhere to compete. Obviously, Ron must have been found this time. The 2 figures of Konoha were gathered at once. This, of course, caused the people around to eagerly want to watch. It didn't take long, the referee hasn't arrived yet. But there were indeed a lot of ninjas and school students around. Especially Uchiha Itachi, since he discovered Ron's as unusual. Now come to school every day, there is no need to take a class anymore. Waited for a long time. Finally, Kakashi was long overdue. Ron was speechless. Sure enough, Kakashi was the referee. It is estimated that Kai can only find him, but a normal person would never come to be a referee. When Kakashi met Ron, nodded as a greeting, Ron also replied. Immediately after, Kai couldn't wait to say, well, he is our referee. For a fair duel, I specifically proposed a few rules. Because I know I can fly you, but we don't allow flying in this game. If you violate the rules, you will lose. Advertisement. Kai obviously is. Plan ahead. That's why he challenged Ron. Because Ron can fly, this game is actually unfair to him? After all, the main difficulty of the game is the strange terrain. If you use flying, that would be unfair. Ron nodded. He didn't plan to fly himself, otherwise wouldn't it be bullying? So there is no doubt about Kai's proposal, nodded to confirm. Then Kai said again, Kakashi, you are the referee, so accept you. In order to ensure that you can keep up with us, you can move in any way. And our two contestants must use running. Kai asked Kakashi again. For this, Kakashi has no doubts, then you are ready. Listen to my password. Kakashi stretched out a hand. Ron and Kai entered the preparatory stage. Kai was very serious, and he was very formal in the starting stage. And Ron, it's still indifferent. Keep both hands 5.2 behind your head. With dog's tail grass in his mouth, the two stood on the same starting line. These curious classmates all around began to cheer. After all, they are very happy about this kind of competition. Kakashi watched the two get ready, so the hand immediately waved downward. At the same time shouted, Start, Chapter 216, Auto-generated chapter title. 216. Ron. It's time to show real physical skills. It is estimated that the Konoha games will not have such a spectacular sight. The test of the two, it almost attracted most of Konoha's villagers to come and watch. Especially the students of these ninja schools, not even going to class. All around here to watch, the moment Kakashi started shouting. Everyone held their breath, staring at the two, at this time. A figure rushed out first, very fast, almost only an afterimage can be seen. And it's still a green afterimage, a streamer passed across. He flew out with a bang. Kai, this guy is hearing the moment of the beginning. Just rushed out. Leave all the way dusty, this kind of sight is really spectacular. Even Kakashi was taken aback. Unexpectedly, as soon as he finished speaking, the other party rushed out. On the other hand, Ron, 14 as if not hearing the horn of the beginning. This makes Kakashi have to remind you again. Ron, it started. You can run now. Kakashi said awkwardly. He thought Ron didn't hear it, or Ron didn't react. Only after he finished speaking, Ron stretched, then he said. Advertisement, let's go, don't you, the referee, run with you. Kakashi was speechless. When is this, you still care about me? Kaido has rushed out several kilometers, if you don't run, you will really lose. Besides, this game is not allowed to fly. You guy, don't think you run faster than Kai, do you? Or is this guy planning to fly over and catch up with Kai secretly? This will not work. Kakashi is also a referee. Of course, such things are not allowed to happen. He must catch up with Kai now. Otherwise, you will not be a good referee if the difference is too much. He glanced back at Ron. Kakashi sighed, then he jumped up. He chased him in Kai's direction. But, in order to prevent Ron this guy from sneaking over to chase Kai while he is not paying attention. So, Kakashi looked back at Ron while chasing. Always pay attention to Ron's movements. Uchiha Itachi on the side had seen Ron's clone and the ability of Shuriken. As for physical skills, he hasn't seen it yet, so I don't know how powerful Ron's physical skills are. But, no matter how powerful it is, it won't let others start running for a minute. Is this a bit too much? Even Uchiha Itachi felt anxious. Not to mention the other little ninjas around, they all urged Ron. Ron, hurry up and catch up, he is gone. Advertisement. Yes, don't lose to him. You represent our new ninja, don't lose to this group of people. Yes, we will all cheer for you. The minds of the little ninjas are more Zhang-chun. After all, he and Ron are classmates. So they all stood on Ron's side without hesitation, cheering on Ron. Ron smiled and shook his head. Then he stretched his waist and continued to put his hands behind his head. Even Uchiha Itachi said hurriedly, hurry up, Kai's physical skills are, but very powerful. I haven't seen anyone who speeds up better than Kai. If you don't set off again, I guess you really won't be able to catch up with him. And, U-790 Chia Itachi looks in the distance, and she has run out of sight. Hey. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Suddenly fell apart. 5 more, then, I started chasing. Said softly, turned into a light, look into the distance. And Ron just tapped the ground lightly with his foot. Suddenly, he kicked hard under his feet, as fragile biscuits. The voice just fell. It seems to test the hardness of this ground again. Hard ground. The audience around him is more anxious than the person involved, Ron. Laser shot directly toward the front. Then, the whole ground cracked directly. And Ron's figure. Chapter 217, auto-generated chapter title. 217. It doesn't matter if you let you 3 minutes, Ron's devil speed. The ground broke instantly, and the dust raised. It directly enveloped the entire school. The classmates who had been urging Ron to hurry up before. All were eaten to a gray face. Wait for the smoke to dissipate. Where can I see Ron's figure? At this moment Ron didn't know how far he had gone. Uchiha Itachi coughed twice. It is really too much smoke. Was eaten. Looking at a huge pothole that was avoided in front of him. Hard to imagine. This turned out to be the consequence of the reaction force generated by humans starting to run. This turned out to be caused by a child who seemed to be under 10 years old. Isn't it too powerful? Anyway, Uchiha Itachi was confused now. Is it possible that Ron is not only good at shuriken, but also good at clones, but is he also good at physical skills? And there is also the fire escape that can be released without using that seal. In general, it is too exaggerated to know, even if Kai, the strongest physicist Uchiha Itachi has ever seen. When it started just now, it was just a little dust. Wanwan did not achieve the terrifying level of trampling on the ground. Ron is too scary. Uchiha Itachi thought of the boy who was about the same height as him. Can't help but feel it. Why is the gap between people so big? Obviously he is also a genius. How in front of him? Advertisement, it feels like a waste. Uchiha Itachi sighed. Also run along, see if you can catch up. At least the distance is closer, and you can also watch the scene of the game. It's just that Uchiha Itachi's physical skills are really inferior compared to the previous two. Almost even the tail shadows of the two are invisible. But there is no way. Who made them so fast? These classmates around. They all couldn't help being curious and asked each other. What's the situation ahead? Who are they running ahead? Did Ron catch him? By the way, the starting point of our classmate is too exaggerated, right? You even destroyed the playground. I don't know if the teacher comes for a while, will he be angry? Now, outside the village of Konoha, Kai was rushing forward. And, when he started, he knew Ron was a step slower. Only, Kai thought Ron hadn't reacted. Haha, fast response is also youth. Kai laughed and ran forward, for field competitions. He has the winning ticket, because even if I look back now, Ron was still not found. This indicates that he is at least 3 kilometers away from himself. Advertisement. Kakashi barely followed Kai, as a referee. He also thinks at this moment that Kai will win. After all, the place behind the field of vision. Can't see Ron at all. However, at this moment, suddenly, a figure galloped out. Approach here again at a fairly fast speed. This is as fast as 3 Kai. The distance between the two is constantly getting closer. Kakashi couldn't help but change his face, because he recognized it. How is it possible? Ron chased after him, even with ninjas like them. After all, it limits the ability to fly. Can't help but froze for a while. What ghost speed is this? Want to catch up with the opponent at this distance? Donkey. What? Zhao Nuos, did you say that Ron was catching up? How is this possible? He is at least 3 kilometers away from me? Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. It is also difficult. Kai is also a master of physical skills, much faster than the average ninja. Under these circumstances, 6 more today is over. Ron. This guy ran at least 3 minutes late. Kai can't look back anymore. Too fast? Kakashi looked at Ron getting closer in disbelief. When he heard Kakashi's words, can the opponent catch up? Chapter 218 Auto-generated chapter title. 218. Force Kai to open the 5th door of the 8th-door Dunjia, Duman. In order to see Ron's movements clearly, Kakashi even took off the blindfold, revealing a writing wheel eye. Then observe Ron with the eyes of the writing wheel. I found that this guy was really running in the thick fog. And did not fly. Every time I ran, a deep footprint appeared on the ground. What a power this is. No wonder it can be so fast. It turns out that every time you push the ground hard, it will cause such a huge shock. This guy is not human at all. It was as if a monster was running over there. Kakashi was dumbfounded. I can't believe this scene at all. Originally he thought Kai would win. After all, he had already pulled so far, even if he couldn't catch up. However, unexpectedly, Ron was 3 minutes late, but he could still catch up from behind. 790 gets closer and closer with the distance, 500 meters. 400 meters. 300 meters. Seeing to catch up with Kai soon. This sense of closer and closer oppression, even if Kai didn't look back, he could feel it. At this moment, Kai's heart was extremely shaken. He never expected it. The opponent's physical skills are so different from his own. Far beyond yourself, Kai is a character who refuses to admit defeat. Seeing that he was caught up, the distance is getting closer and closer. It will be a matter of time before being caught up. But, never lose. Think of it here. Advertisement. Kai gritted his teeth. Have a drink. 8th-door Dunjia, Duman, open. As soon as this remark came out, Kakashiman who was on the side was immediately forced. He never expected it. Kai unexpectedly opened the 8th-door Dunjia directly. And skipped door 1234. 5 doors were opened directly. Are you crazy? Kai, the state can open up to 6 doors now. However, for a running competition, he actually opened 5 doors directly. This fifth gate has reached the ultimate speed. Duman. The speed is enough to drive the air to lift the ground when moving, and the speed exceeds the speed of sound. Kakashi exclaimed. K, are you crazy? It doesn't have to be like this. You're too exaggerated, right? You opened 5 doors. However, Kai did not look back but left a word, smiled and said. Ah, if you don't, you can't beat him. The voice just fell. The whole person wears out like a streamer. The speed is so fast that there are layers of sound barriers in the air. The air ripples round and round, radiate from the center of the body. Kakashi could only see a green figure. Instantly BEFC disappeared before the eyes. This guy, too hard, right, this, speed, I can't catch up. It seems that my referee can only follow this. Kakashi couldn't help but shook his head. In terms of speed, he cannot surpass the Kai who opened 5 doors. Advertisement. So now, there is no other way. Kakashi stopped directly, he had no sense to continue running. Because he couldn't keep up with K anyway. Then I can only stop and follow Ron. And this competition, the outcome should also be divided. At this moment, K's speed has surpassed Ron's attitude. Ron, at this time, it is estimated that you have run at full capacity, right? It should be impossible to speed up anymore. After all, not everyone knows how to escape. At Ron's speed, he should have reached his limit by now. But since I lost to the 8-door Kai, in fact, it is not wrong. Men will lose. In this competition, Ron didn't win. But in fact, it can force Kai to use the 5th of the 8 Dunjia. It's already a victory. Kakashi was about to stop Ron. Because this competition is meaningless. Just then, Ron ran right in front of Kakashi. Kakashi said hurriedly. Forget it. You have done your best. Unexpectedly, this guy Kai opened the 8-door Dunjia. This is the end of the game. Kakashi was kind of persuasive. Because there is indeed no need to continue, however. Ron said, the winner hasn't been decided yet, don't worry. Chapter 219. Auto-generated chapter title, 219. Ron summoned a dog? Was it eaten by a dog? I heard Ron say this. Kakashi looked dazed again. He has seen too many strange things today. Does Ron also want to open the 8-door Dunjia? What does he mean by this sentence? Could it be that he also knows how to use the 8 doors Dunjia, right? It's just a simple running game. Do these two guys have to open 8 Dunjia to the game? This is really incredible. If this is the case, then Kakashi was really eye-opening today. For this guy Ron, Kakashi didn't think he was surprised what he could do. By now, for Kakashi, Ron is still a mystery, and now the 4th generation is also investigating Ron's identity. Although this is top secret, but Kakashi still knew. Seeing Ron say that, Kakashi couldn't help asking. Are you crazy too? If you also open the 8 doors Dunjia, the load on the body is enormous. You have not been trained as long as K. The body will collapse. Ron has never exercised physical skills. No one knows this better than Kakashi. After all, the first day Ron came here, he was in charge of monitoring. It's been almost a month. Ron's actions have nothing to do with physical skills. Well known. Physical exercises are different from other ninjutsu. Physical exercises are extremely hard. You have to keep exercising like K every day. Advertisement. Not everyone can open 8 doors, without a strong physique. Opening 8 doors is tantamount to seeking death. And Ron has never exercised physical skills, and his body doesn't look very tough. That's why Kakashi would give a friendly reminder. I was afraid that Ron would be impulsive, forcibly open the 8 doors. Then race against K, for such a trivial game, and to ruin the body. It's really not worth it, but, what Kakashi didn't expect was. Ron didn't open the 8-door Dunjia, instead, he stopped directly in front of him. How is this going? Didn't he just say that the game is not over? Don't you give up now? He still accepted his advice. Therefore, it was decided not to open the 8-door Dunjia for pursuit. If this is the case, those still feel more relieved. After all, because of my own advice, as a result, Ron will not overdraw his body too much. It's worth it, so Kakashi said, do not worry. Actually, you are not a loser, this is normal. No one can defeat Kai in physical skills, not to mention that he also opened the 8 doors of Dunjia. If you can push K to this point, it means you have actually won. So don't be discouraged, Kakashi said very seriously. Advertisement seeking flowers, because Ron is already very strong in his heart. Everyone actually has something they're good at. Ron is already very good at shuriken and clone art. If you were good at physical skills, it would be too pervert, right? So in the case of Taishu losing to the strongest Kai, it is actually understandable. After all, at Ron's speed just now, in fact, if K doesn't open 8 doors, Ron will catch up with him, in other words, 0. K completely relied on 8-door Dunjia to defeat Ron. However, never expected, Kakashi said just here. Suddenly found Ron in front of him, as if he hadn't decided to give up. Still moved my body. This surprised Kakashi, even riding a dog can't catch up. Snapped his fingers. Kakashi looked dazed, then don't rush. Kakashi just wanted to ask, suddenly appeared out of thin air. Is he going to ride a dog? What is this, a dog with a strange shape? Why use spiritism at this time? Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Subsequently, at this moment, the speed of Bauman's Kai is already very fast. The dog ate Ron in one bite. No animal can catch up. It turned out suddenly. Chapter 220, auto-generated chapter title. 220. Kakashi was also swallowed by a big dog. Kakashi's face is dumbfounded at this moment. He had no idea how to describe his current mood. I thought Ron will give up the game, but never expected, he suddenly summoned a dog. A colorful dog. However, this is actually nothing to fuss about. The only thing that surprised Kakashi was, Ron didn't use any knot seals when he called. Just call out of thin air. This is completely different from the summoning technique he knows. And what surprised Kaka's 790 West most was, Kakashi himself is also a ninja who can summon dogs. So, he should be very familiar with this summoning technique. But Kakashi has never seen anyone who can summon without Kiin. What kind of summoning technique is this, however? I didn't wait for Kakashi to figure out what was going on. Suddenly found out, the dog swallowed Ron in one bite. What is this operation? Kakashi couldn't understand even more. The shinobi that he had summoned swallowed himself. What kind of devil's operation is this? Is Ron okay? Kakashiman got it. I don't understand what to do next. She had encountered this kind of scene for the first time. Swallowed by their own endurance. Advertisement. What exactly is going on? Could it be that the ninja beast went out of control? In this situation, should I report to the higher level? Do you want to save Ron? Kakashi was exposed to this situation for the first time, and now he is at a loss. Just as he was thinking about it, suddenly found that the dog rushed towards him. Swallow yourself into it. This can't help making Kakashi like an enemy. Did Ron's ninja monster really run away? Now it's not just about swallowing Ron. It even turned around and came over and prepared to swallow myself. No, must not be swallowed by the other party, otherwise, isn't it dead? Kakashi doesn't want to just come over and be a referee and get killed. If it is like this, then his life is too miserable. So, as a matter of urgency, Kakashi also ignored the identity of the referee. Immediately began to escape. Even the psychic came out of his own ninja beast. To stop Ron's dog. But, your dog is just like a puppy in front of each other. Simply vulnerable. Slapped by the opponent's dog, one slapped flying. However, this is not over yet. Ron's dog is extremely fast. He rushed to Kakashi in an instant. Kakashi at the moment immediately launched ninjutsu Chidori, want to attack Ron's dog. But, he still overestimated his own strength. Advertisement. He never expected that he could not even beat Ron's psychic beast. Chidori hit the opponent. It didn't even cause any waves. Did not cause any harm, and the big dog's mouth was already directed at himself, bit it down. Kakashi was terrified. Why didn't he think that one day he would die in such a place? This is too wrong, right? He obviously just came to be a referee. Why is it so unlucky? And, it was obviously the psychic beast that Ron had summoned and ran away. Why should I be unlucky with me? This is too unfair, right? But now there is no way. Anyway, I can't escape myself. Kakashi could even think of it. In the future, what kind of legend will be circulated in the village? There are two unlucky ones. It was swallowed by the psychic beast he had summoned. Kakashi didn't think he would end like this. Didn't expect Ron to end like this. Broken. With the big dog's mouth opened and closed. Kakashi was not accidentally swallowed by the big dog. Just when Kakashi believed that 5.2 was dead for himself. Suddenly feel that the space in front of me suddenly changes. The whole person seemed to disappear in place. After a while, light suddenly appeared before my eyes. It turned out that the giant dog suddenly opened its mouth. Seeing this, Kakashi got out immediately. However, what happened next? Make him unforgettable for life. Chapter 221, auto-generated chapter title. 221. The outcome has been decided, but I didn't expect Ron to know space ninjutsu. Kakashi thought he was dead. After all, it was swallowed by the opponent's psychic beast. But never expected. But the moment he had a chance to escape from the mouth of the psychic beast. Only discovered the truth of the matter. Kakashi was dizzy after a while. Then suddenly I found that my eyes lit up. The psychic beast must have opened its mouth. So Kakashi flew out of his mouth without hesitation. However, this scene came out, but it directly refreshed Kakashi's worldview. Because he found out, at this moment, he and Ron are both standing at the end of this game. And everyone looks far away. Kai is transforming into a blue beast. Sprint towards this side. I have been sweating Kakashi thought he was wrong. After all, it is just 14. They are still far away. Want to reach the end, it takes at least 5 minutes. But now, the two of them are already standing on the end. The person who has the most hope to win the championship. At the moment, he was still running wildly with sweat. There is still 2 minutes away from the end. This. Kakashi didn't know what to say. Looking back, the colorful dog just now. Original. The dog swallowed them just now, not to eat them. But there is a kind of transmission device in this dog. Advertisement just past his mouth, it can be sent to any place. In other words, the reason why Ron was not in a hurry just now was entirely because of such a killer. Is this worth anything? Victory has been confirmed. Ron is now at the end, and the rules of the game only said not to fly. But I didn't say not to use teleport. Unexpectedly, Ron could even know space ninjutsu. This really refreshed Kakashi's cognition. How can one person grandmaster so many ninjutsu at the same time? Based on Kakashi's knowledge of Ron, according to his observation, Ron is now good at shuriken, good at clones, good at physique, good at fire escape, and even good at space ninjutsu. By the way, there is also spiritism. The most terrifying thing is, no matter what kind of ninjutsu, Ron doesn't need Jin. You know, Ron is just a kid as old as he is now. This achievement, no less than any generation of Hokage, right? Isn't it a bit too exaggerated? Kakashi looked at Ron sitting on the rock incredulously. Ron is very comfortable at the moment, lying half on the rock. It seems to be waiting for the second place. Kakashi acts as a referee. He understood why Ron came with him, because he is the referee of this game. Only under his witness can the winner be determined. This is why, the reason Ron let the dog come with him just now. Kakashi sighed at the moment, then he said to Ron, "You are really getting more and more difficult for me to understand." Advertisement, I didn't expect you to know space ninjutsu. Few people would make Kakashi admire. Kakashi's personality is more arrogant. But Ron in front of him, Kakashi had to admire. It is also a psychic beast. His dog can only bite people, and Ron's dog not only grows up, but also teleports. It's so popular, Kakashi was speechless. Ron just smiled and said nothing. The reason why he was willing to take the time to try with Kebi. Just to hit this guy. Don't bother yourself when you're idle in the future. Ron has no time to waste with him. 2 minutes later. How did these two guys suddenly ran ahead of them? It was completely beyond his expectation. But when Kei found that Ron and Kakashi were already at the end. Have you seen anyone surpassing yourself? 4 more? Kei looked at Ron and Kakashi dumbfounded. I thought I was a champion. Then why does it appear at the end at this moment? It's not right. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. When he ran to the finish line, I also noticed the air and nothing flew past. No one can be faster than me. Obviously he was running wildly along the way. These two guys are definitely not flying, on the road running wildly. 790 Kai was finally late. At this moment, his expression is so ugly. Chapter 222, Auto-generated chapter title, 222. Let Kai also experience Ron's teleportation. Kai looked at Kakashi and Ron dumbfounded. He was stunned for 5 minutes, but he didn't even react. Stay there. Did not say a word. After a while, finally relieved. Take a sigh of relief. At this moment, his 8-door Dunji estate has been lifted. He can't accept this at all up to now. I have already used the fastest Duman. Even lost to them. How did you lose? Kei must ask why. Otherwise he will not be reconciled. Seeing myself tired like this, sweating profusely. But Ron was lying on the rock in a relaxed state. This gap is really huge. Kei couldn't help asking. What the hell did you do? When did you surpass me? Why didn't I even see your shadow? This is one of Kei's most puzzled questions. Obviously he didn't find Ron surpassed himself along the way. But why at the end, it was discovered that the other party had already arrived long ago. What is the reason for this? Looked at the state of confusion. Kakashi also shook his head. He has no way to give Kei an answer. So it can only be said, don't ask me, I don't know what's going on. But I can assure you, Ron, this guy did not violate the rules. You really lost this game. Advertisement, Ron won. Kakashi spoke to Kai very seriously. Kakashi's character Kai naturally knows that he must not lie. Since the referees say so, so it seems, he really lost. But it doesn't matter if you lose, it is important to understand why you lose. Otherwise, how can I still have a chance to surpass him? Kei nodded. Acknowledge his defeat. Well, I admit I lost. Ron won this game about physical skills. I didn't expect him to be young. Unexpectedly, I can surpass me in physical skills. This is the power of youth, Kei said very excitedly. Winning or losing the game did not defeat his will. Instead, Kai was even more excited, also become harder. Still want to figure out, why did you lose, since Kakashi can't give the answer? So, I can only rely on Ron. After all, he is the one involved. So Kei turned his head and asked Ron, although I lost. But I want to know how you beat me. Why is it faster than me? And Ron just said lightly, after this game, don't come over and disturb me. Kaiwan never expected Ron to say that, a little awkwardly nodded. Good, as long as you tell me, how did you beat me? Advertisement, then I promise, I will never disturb you again. Kei, I said it very seriously this time, it's almost time to swear. Ron nodded. Very satisfied with Kei's attitude. Since this guy promised not to harass him in the future, then this is the best ending. Ron doesn't have so much time to play around with these guys. So Ron nodded, then said, very good, then I will tell you how to do it. Come on. Ron pointed to the big dog next to him and said. Kai looked dumbfounded. I don't understand what Ron meant at all. Kakashi looked aside. Kakashi nodded at him, signal not to be afraid. Then said, come on, but Jiao Nuos, since Kakashi said so. Walked towards the big dog. I don't know what medicine these two people sell in the gourd. So, thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. When he approached, Kai looked dumbfounded. The big dog suddenly opened its mouth. As long as it passes, you will know. Kay is not worried. 5 more, it's completely different from Kakashi's. This was the first time he saw Ron's psychic beast. Suddenly, this move startled Kay. This big mouth is a bit scary. This dog is a little strange. Chapter 223, Auto-generated chapter title. 223. I take it, Ron is an almighty ninja. Kay looked confused. Walked into this colorful-looking big dog, however. He never thought of it. The big dog suddenly opened his mouth and swallowed it in. The speed is too fast. Kai has been unprepared and caught off guard. It was swallowed directly. Kay is largely unguarded. Because Kakashi and Ron are here, these two guys can't cheat themselves. So, Kay was completely relaxed and walked over, without precaution for a while. It was swallowed directly by a big dog, then Ron also jumped off the rock. Take a look at Kakashi. Kakashi is very interesting this time. After all, he has already had an experience, so no need to say Ron this time. He is also very conscious. Kakashi said, I understand. I'll do it first. After Kakashi finished speaking, he took the initiative to jump into the 790 dog's mouth. Ron couldn't help shaking. It looks like this guy Kakashi. Still very sensible, very proactive, this is great. Then, Ron also jumped into the big dog's mouth, when everyone jumped in. Advertisement immediately afterwards. The big dog suddenly seemed to escape into the air and disappeared out of thin air. When he appears again, reappeared in the ninja school. These students at the moment, haven't scattered yet. They are waiting for the end of the game, even though they can no longer see the players, but still waiting here. Except for Uchiha Itachi, because Uchiha Itachi, BEFC, chased it out. He wanted to keep up with a few people. As a result, he did not expect his physical skills to be so weak. Left behind by the players in the game, you can't even see their backs. Suddenly, a big dog appeared in the school out of thin air. Let the students present all hang their mouths and dare not speak. Some people even fainted with fright. After all, this dog. It looks a little weird, and it's never seen before. So, it's natural for this group of kids to be afraid. What the hell is this? Is there an enemy attack? Hurry up and call the teacher over. Maybe the enemy. There are a few bolder students. Organize immediately. Start to cover the other students back, however, at this moment. Suddenly, the big dog's open mouth, then, suddenly spit out a few figures. Advertisement. This action instantly shocked the students around. When they looked carefully, only then found out. From the dog's mouth, these people are all they know. And just saw it not long ago. How is this possible? Are you not running in a race? How could it suddenly appear here? And it came out of the dog's mouth. It still appeared out of thin air. All kinds of phenomena are combined. It's totally incredible. Originally, these students had relatively little knowledge. Being shocked by this scene is even more shocking and unable to speak. Look, it's Senior Kakashi, Senior Kai, and classmate Ron. Why did they get out of the dog's mouth? What the hell happened to this? However, more surprised than them, it's Kay. Ron didn't use words to tell Kay how did he win. But through this matter, even if Ron didn't say it. Understood. I see. I finally understand why I lost. It turns out that you know space ninjutsu. I was careless. I didn't expect you to know space ninjutsu. However, even so, I am convinced of the loss. You win. I promise not to disturb you in the future. I want to continue my youthful exercise. Kay regained his confidence. It is not a shame to lose to a space ninja. It's just that he didn't expect it either. Ron grows so many ninjutsu. Chapter 224, Auto-generated chapter title, 224, was invited to the Uchiha family banquet. Finally send away the troublesome guy Kay, Ron said to the classmate beside him. Let's go, it's time for class. What are you doing all around here? As soon as the voice fell, he took the lead to walk towards the classroom. Ron just hoped that every day would be ordinary for him to spend these 70 days. Just fill up the sin of sloth template, but every day seems to be extraordinary. There will always be all kinds of people coming to trouble. When these students heard Ron say this, they all entered the classroom with Ron. They haven't recovered from the shock just now, it's too exaggerated. I didn't expect my classmates, much better than seniors. And this guy knows a lot of ninjutsu. There is such a powerful ninjutsu as space ninjutsu. Can make these little ninjas envious. I didn't pay attention to the lectures at all during class. Instead, they all stared at Ron. The teacher in charge of teaching ninjutsu this time was very speechless. But anyway, these children don't listen. Today's day will soon pass. Ron's news expanded again in Konoha village. This actually has no effect on ordinary people. It's just a conversation after a meal. Advertisement. But for the Uchiha clan, the news is indeed off. After all, they had planned to rebel before. At this moment, the Uchiha clan are discussing. Originally relied on the ability of Uchiha's #1 master, Uchiha Shisui. In addition, Uchiha Tomitaki has secretly opened the kaleidoscope to right the wheel. With these two forces, it is expected to launch a raid and rebel successfully. But never thought of it. Unexpectedly, there have been variables. Unexpectedly, there was a master in the 4th generation, 0. It can not only defeat Dashawan, whether on the Shuriken clone or on the fire escape, there are very superb skills. Especially listening to Uchiha Itachi. This person does not need Jujin to release ninjutsu. This is an exaggeration. Besides, now, the fourth generation also called Tsunade and Jilai. Now the strength of the entire Konoha village has greatly increased. It's not time for their Uchiha clan to rebel, the plan is now. Had to stop again. This made the Uchiha clan leaders very hard. It was like holding a breath, and finally did not spit it out, but swallowed it again. Patriarch, the situation is not good now. How about we try and see if we can win over the kid named Ron? Yeah, Patriarch, I heard that he and Uchiha Itachi had a lot of fun. It's better to call him home. Let's knack on the side and see if he is interested in joining us. Several elders of Uchiha's clan next to him came up with ideas. Advertisement. For flowers. Uchiha Tomitaki nodded. It makes sense. Since he has strong combat power and is still a child, since he is a child, his character is uncertain. We can try and see if we can draw him to our side? If you can. Then the enemy's power is ours, once Uchiha Tomitaki's idea is finalized. No more changes. 0, so he disbanded the meeting. Then Uchiha Itachi was called up. Handsome, I heard that you made a new friend. Uchiha Itachi hasn't found out what's going on yet. He thought he was his father's casual question, so he nodded. Said, okay, is it called Ron? Yes, send him home for a meal. I heard Uchiha Tomitaki say so. Uchiha Itachi nodded happily. After all, at this time, Shuai didn't know that the family was going to rebel. And he really wants to be friends with Ron. It is very common to invite friends to eat at home. So Uchiha Itachi happily agreed. Chapter 225, Auto-generated chapter title. 225. Another hangmen banquet after school from the ninja school, Ron returned home. Originally planned to eat, Ron was planning to cook for himself. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Who is it again? Ron felt helpless. He just wanted to spend a few days in peace. But there are too many messes. There are people looking for things every day. Don't know who it is this time? Ron went to open the door. I found it was Uchiha Itachi. What is this guy doing here? Ron Yao Yi Yao Head, 793. When Uchiha Itachi saw Ron at home, he was naturally very happy. You fellow, what are you doing now? Ron opened the door and invited Uchiha Itachi in. Then I went to cook again. Since you are here, let's stay here for dinner. Not bad for this person. Ron said directly. He doesn't care what Uchiha Itachi is here for. Anyway, it's time for him to eat now. If you have anything, wait until after dinner. Unexpectedly, Uchiha Itachi said suddenly, wait a moment. Brother Ron, don't do it yet. I'm here this time to invite you to my house for dinner. Uchiha Itachi said hurriedly. He was afraid that after he was too late, Ron had already cooked the meal. Ron was a little different. Advertisement looking back, looked at Uchiha Itachi. Go to your house for dinner. What kind of wind is this? There is no intersection between him and the Uchiha clan. Why go to someone to eat for no reason? Unexpectedly, Uchiha nodded again and said. That's right. My father invites you to come and eat at our house. Uchiha Itachi was very excited. Uchi, Hafudake? Ron was puzzled. What did Uchiha Tomitaki ask himself to do? Neither he nor Uchiha Tomitaki have met. Isn't this guy inviting himself to rebel together? In fact, Ron really thought it right. Don't go. Ron shook his head and then went on to cook. Uchiha Itachi was taken aback. Why didn't he think that Ron would refuse, after all? It's normal to invite people to eat at home. Let's go. The family dinner of our Uchiha clan is delicious. Uchiha Itachi is milky with milk, looking at the serious look of Uchiha Itachi. It was really hard for Ron to continue to refuse. I knew it was a banquet, but Ron was not afraid. Treat it as a mixed meal. Ron didn't pay attention to what the other party said. Oh, okay, let's go. Ron stretched and then said to Itachi Uchiha. After listening to this sentence, a smile suddenly appeared on Uchiha Itachi's small face. Very good. So he took Ron and walked towards the residence of the Uchiha clan. It's far away from Ron's home. Basically, it is one north and one south. All members of the Uchiha clan are gathered here. It seems to delineate a special scope for them. All members of a tribe are in the same situation as a tribe. From this remote place, it can be seen that it is incompatible with Konoha village. Have to say, this arrangement is really stupid. Isn't this forcing others to rebel? Since establishing a village with the other party and causing such a big sense of separation, who can stand it? If Ron were from the Uchiha clan, he would probably rebel. But after all he is not, so he didn't care about the Uchiha clan. Uchiha Itachi's family is the patriarch after all. The residence is particularly large. Just walked in. Ron saw Uchiha Tomitaki, the patriarch of the Uchiha clan. The guy smiled. Sit on the main seat. I have to say that the efficiency of the Uchiha clan is still very high. By the time Ron arrived here, the food had already been served. Just waiting for Ron to take his seat. 5.2 Even Uchiha Tomitaki did not treat Ron as a child. Instead, it is received with adult etiquette. Sure enough, strength is the respect in all worlds. It was because they knew Ron's strength. That's why I put on this serious posture. Ron is also welcome. Sit directly in the arranged position. Chapter 226, Auto-generated chapter title, 226. The Uchiha clan's marriage, ready to seduce Ron. You're Ron, it's the first time I have seen you. As expected, you are young and heroic. I heard that you can not only defeat Oshimaru, you also defeat Uchiha Shisui. You can make this achievement at a young age, I don't know who you learned from. The meal just started. Everyone also chatted with each other. Uchiha Tomotaki asked about Ron's various circumstances. Mainly to facilitate his understanding. Ron ate on his own, and I have to say that Uchiha's family banquet tasted good. It seems that they are still very good at eating. Questions for Uchiha Tomotaki. Ron just answered briefly. It's all nonsense. Anyway, Ron's purpose here is just to eat. Halfway through the meal, Uchiha Tomotaki feels that the situation is almost the same. So he said directly to Uchiha Itachi, okay, let's go first after you finish eating. 14 The words came out. Uchiha Itachi looked dumbfounded. He obviously just started. Why did you drive yourself away? What is this operation? And I invited Ron over. The two of us are friends. Obviously you should go first after eating, why let me go first? Besides, what are you and Ron going to talk about? This move made Uchiha Itachi very uncomfortable. Ron is his friend. My father drove himself away while eating. Advertisement. My father, I haven't finished eating yet. Uchiha Itachi squatted. Obviously, Uchiha Tomotaki was a little impatient. Let you leave here, just leave here. I said you'll finish eating when you finish. Not obedient. Seeing Uchiha Tomotaki's face looked a little unhappy. Uchiha Itachi could only nod his head, then he said sorry to Ron. Immediately afterwards, holding the young Uchiha Sasuke. Leaving the house together, after seeing the two brothers Uchiha leave here. Uchiha Tomotaki's face was stern, then he said to Ron. I wonder if Ron is interested in joining our Uchiha family? So straight to the point, it's a little surprising. I'm really sorry, I have no interest, and my surname is not Uchiha. Ron didn't push back and forth, but simply refused. Hear what Ron said. Uchiha Tomotaki did not have any accidents, as if he had expected it. Of course, it is indeed too much for me to make this request so directly. But we Uchiha clan, we have never minded getting married with foreigners. You are interested in our Uchiha clan, which girl, we can make an appointment for you. Although Uchiha Tomotaki agrees with Ron as an adult in terms of strength, he still regards Ron as a child in terms of age. So, advertisement he didn't pay much attention to it at the moment. Just thinking about being able to do what he likes. Then he pulled Ron to the Uchiha clan, as long as there is such a powerful foreign aid. Then if they are really determined to rebel at that time, the odds of winning will be much greater, at least. Although Ron is not a friend, he can't develop him into an enemy either. He must not be allowed to be on the side of the fourth generation of Hokage. Ron, it was really unexpected today, he never expected it. The head of the Uchiha clan is so shameless, in order to win him. Actually used the trick of making a kiss on a child. In this way, Ron said incredulously, 793, Uchiha Tomotaki. I am not interested in your people, I'm not interested in what you guys want to do. Whatever you do, I don't bother to intervene, but only one thing, then don't come over and disturb me. As long as you are satisfied with this point, no matter what you are going to do afterwards, it's none of my business, and I won't help anyone, do you understand? Ron was also very straightforward. Now, no matter what expression Uchiha Furuke shows now. Ron was still eating on his own, it's as if he didn't say this sentence. Chapter 227, Auto-generated chapter title, 227. As long as you don't come to mess with me, do whatever you want. But Uchiha Tomotaki was shocked after hearing Ron's words. He is not stupid. Through Ron's words, he has deduced it. Ron must have guessed it. What did he invite Ron to eat this time? How can this be? Ron, who is so young, why can he know his intentions? Or, it was just Ron blindly just now, he did not know his true intentions. Just said casually, or I have misunderstood it, I think too much. The other party did not mean this at all. If the other party really guessed their intentions, then it's not good. This is what Uchiha Tomotaki is most worried about. The reason why he dared to call Ron over so blatantly. It's not because he is a child, no matter how strong he is. For Uchiha Tomotaki, it's just a child. As long as you are a child, your character is easy to handle. But, through the sentence just now, it directly made Uchiha Fuyue feel that something was wrong. He seems to have noticed it. Did he know he was going to rebel? He knew he was doing this to win him over. This is a kid, can you guess it? Even Kona has high level. Advertisement I don't know my intentions at this moment. This is already quite a secret thing, except for a few of their senior Uchiha clan. Others don't even know, not to mention outsiders. And this guy Ron. Obviously, I only came to the Uchiha family once. How does it seem to know them well? How is this going? Uchiha Tomotaki now had many thoughts in his mind. He didn't know how to describe it. There is a feeling of being seen through by the other party. And the one sitting across from him, obviously he was just a kid who looked the same age as Uchiha Itachi. How seem? What I face is an old man who has gone through vicissitudes of life. See through all the wisdom. This was the first time Uchiha Tomotaki seemed transparent in front of others. Uchiha Tomotaki took a deep breath, in order to confirm the thoughts in his mind. He must ask again. This Ron, is it blind? Still, I really can see it. This is very important to Uchiha Tomotaki, ahem. I don't know what Ron is referring to. Why do we say what we are going to do next? We have nothing else to do. Uchiha Tomotaki looked into Ron's eyes. As if to see through people's minds, Ron shook his head. This guy can also pretend it by himself. Advertisement. But Ron didn't bother to expose him. It doesn't matter to Ron what they're going to do. Ron came here just to remind him. Let the Uchiha clan stay idle and don't trouble yourself. And also to show your attitude, because Ron knew it. What Uchiha Tomotaki is worried about is when he launches a coup in the future. Which side is Ron on? This played a key role in the outcome of the entire battle. And Ron came here just to tell him. Ron didn't interfere in the matter between them and Konoha. In other words, the two do not help each other. Let Uchiha Tomotaki feel relieved. And, don't harass yourself in the future, if not. At this moment, I also felt a chill in my back, and he understood what Ron meant. Which child is in front of you? What you are going to do is not important to me. But, then again, even if sitting opposite is Uchiha Tomotaki, the patriarch of the Uchiha clan. Then stop, Zhao Nuo blames me for being impolite. It is a beast. But the meaning is very sharp, if you have to come over and disturb me. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. As long as you don't mess with me, you can do whatever you want, and I won't interfere. There is a chilling feeling, we'll show him good looks. Ron's words were quite plain though, I made it clear before. Play with a beast that can bite at any time. Chapter 228, Auto-generated chapter title. 228. A probe into Uchiha Tomotaki's language. Uchiha Tomotaki understood. Ron wasn't blind just now, he really guessed what their Uchiha clan is going to do. This guy is too scary, it's not like it should be at this age. Although I don't know how he guessed it, but this is certain. Ron must know. Now that he already knows. So, there are only two roads before Uchiha Fudike. First, kill Ron to prevent this news from being passed back to the fourth generation. Second, it was to include Ron on his side. In this way, Ron would definitely not inform. But now there is a problem. That is, the second way is absolutely unworkable. Because Ron had clearly rejected himself just now. So, 793 now for Uchiha Tomotaki, there is only the first way. But, is this really a wise path? Not necessarily. How can that be possible? Even if you really want to kill Ron, can you rely on him? Fukude Uchiha calculated it in his mind. Measure the gap between the two sides. He suddenly found out, he was not Ron's opponent at all. In other words, the first way is not wise either. Now, Ron is not the enemy. Advertisement if he is really hot-headed for a while and chooses the first way. That was driving Ron on the way of the enemy. This is a disaster for the Uchiha clan. In other words, this is the most unwise choice. There is no choice between the only two paths. Do you just let yourself pretend you don't know? Will this guy Ron inform? Although he said not to mix things up on both sides. But who can be sure of what a child says? I blurt out when I can't tell. Tell them the secrets of the Uchiha clan. The 4 generations will certainly not leave it alone. The whole Konoha will be on guard against them Uchiha. At that time, it would be more difficult to initiate another mutiny. Did not think of. I invited Ron to come over for a meal. It actually plunged them Uchiha's clan into this situation. How can this be good? Whatever you think, there is no complete solution. There is no way. Uchiha Tomotaki can only speak to Ron. Since you understand everything, then you will tell the 4th generation? No one thought that Uchiha Tomotaki would be so direct. He told this story without hesitation. Even Ron didn't want to BEFC to it. Ron smiled and shook his head. He didn't directly answer Uchiha Tomotaki's words. Instead, he said directly, the meal you cooked is delicious today. I'm stuffed. Then go first. Advertisement. Ron got up. Sorted out the clothes. Then he smiled at Uchiha Tomotaki. Anyway, always come here to scold a meal. Basic gratitude is still necessary. Ron walked towards the door after he finished speaking. Only Uchiha Tomotaki was left there, don't know what to do for a while. There was a pause. Uchiha Tomotaki said, in this case. If you want to come to eat in the future, you can do it anytime. Uchiha Tomotaki also said politely. The reason Ron didn't choose to directly answer Uchiha Tomotaki's words just now. But Uchiha Tomotaki already understood Ron's meaning. Although what Ron just said has nothing to do with what he asked. But Uchiha Tomotaki is the leader of the family after all. Still very smart, he could understand what Ron meant by words. Ron was clearly expressing his attitude just now. It's just that this matter has nothing to do with me. I just came over for dinner, so now the meal is finished. You can go. As for other things, Kwandong did not see, heard, or uttered a sound. Think of it here. Uchiha Tomotaki couldn't help but smile knowingly. He even gave Ron one more look. I couldn't help feeling very much in my heart. Ron, this guy, it really has wisdom far beyond this age. Chapter 229, Auto-generated chapter title, 229. Another trouble, Shi Rihong's questioning. Ron left Uchiha Tomotaki's mansion, then he relaxed his mind. The meal was not bad. Ron had no interest in what the Uchiha clan wanted to rebel. He also has no feelings for Muya. So no matter who wins or loses between the two sides, it has no effect on him. In this world, Ron is always a passerby, and at the moment, Sasuke Uchiha and Itachi Uchiha, two of them are at the door. Watching Ron come out, Uchiha Itachi embraced Uchiha Sasuke and walked over immediately. Why did Ron come out so quickly? Is it finished? He invited Ron over for dinner, so Uchiha Itachi was also embarrassed. After all, he was kicked out by his father after eating half of it and he didn't accompany Ron well. This is really against the hospitality. Ron just shook his head. Say you don't mind. The cooking of your Uchiha clan is pretty good. Ron smiled and said. At the same time, look at the child Uchiha Itachi is holding. This guy is Uchiha Sasuke, is also one of the protagonists of the future. Still a baby at the moment, can't even speak yet. This is your brother? Ron just made a symbolic cry. Uchiha Itachi nodded and said happily. Well, yes, his name is Uchiha Sasuke. Advertisement. It seems that Uchiha Itachi is very satisfied with this younger brother. This is no wonder. In the future, Uchiha Itachi will do this to Sasuke. In fact, everything is very reasonable, it's just that Ron didn't look at the problem from their perspective. Everyone's choice is actually involuntarily, Ron smiled. Then he said to Uchiha Itachi, hurry in, it's cold outside, don't freeze him. It is now winter, the weather is already very cold. The main reason was that Ron was also anxious to go home and didn't want to continue inking with him. That's why I said so. Uchiha Itachi nodded, then he agreed with Ron to go to school together tomorrow. Only then left. Ron walked on the way home alone. Have to say, after using the sin of laziness template, Ron's life is a lot more smoky, stop fighting like before. On the contrary, there are a lot of little warmth in life. Is Uchiha Itachi a friend? Ron also thought about it. But anyway, at least not an enemy nor a stranger. For such a little guy, Ron is still very fond of it. At least today, Uchiha Itachi has sincerely invited himself to dinner. Although it was also used by his father, but he was really happy when he came to invite himself. Advertisement. Ron smiled and shook his head, for this kind of friendship between children. Although Ron's mind and them no longer belong to the same age group. Ask for flowers, but friendship at this age is always beautiful. It can't always move people, Ron thought as he walked. Suddenly, a young girl in front of her stopped her way. This woman was with Kakashi and the others, it's called Red. Another troublesome guy. Ron shook his head helplessly. It seems that the more you want to be calm, the easier it is to get into trouble. Don't know what this woman is doing here, I saw Hong said. I've heard of you, are you Ron? I didn't expect to meet you here. Why did you go to the Uchiha clan to do at home? The Uchiha clan does not allow outsiders to enter. Red's observation power is amazing, so I thought it was a bit unusual, so I said. It's just going to eat. Ron shook his head helplessly and then continued to move forward, not paying him any attention. This makes Hong a little unhappy. Have a meal? How is it possible? The Uchiha clan never ask outsiders to eat at their house. Quickly, what are you doing there for? Is there any other purpose? Have to say, Red's vigilance is really strong. Keep holding Ron. Began to chatter endlessly. Chapter 230, auto-generated chapter title. 230. Red uses illusion to deal with Ron. Ron was really helpless. He didn't want to talk to this troublesome guy, although the Red at the moment looks very beautiful. Have to say, the big red eyes looked very energetic. But Ron didn't feel much about him, just shook his head and said, don't delay me coming home, it doesn't matter to you. Ron's tone was still so indifferent. Back your hands behind your head. With a dog's tail in its mouth, if it weren't for Red's interception. 793. At this moment, Ron was humming and walking towards home. But there is no way. Who made you stop? Thought for a while. Ron still said, I am in a good mood today, you better not bother. Don't ruin my mood. It's okay for Ron not to say this. After I finished talking, Yurihong felt something was wrong even more. What did you say? You say you are in a good mood. Why are you in a good mood? What did you finally do in the Uchiha family mansion? What are they discussing with you? Why does it make you feel good? Advertisement, you explain to me. The red guy still chattered endlessly. It seems that something like a new world has been discovered. And most importantly, he felt it now. Ron must have some secret. Is there any collusion between him and the Uchiha clan? Although they are in a village, but the rest of Konoha and the Uchiha clan are always separated by something. It seems that they can't really blend together, especially for the communication between the two parties. Everyone is wary of the new year. I won't talk about the Uchiha clan. They don't even invite outsiders to their Uchiha clan's territory. Nor will it. This is also the reason why Hong feels very confused about Ron being there. That's why Ron was caught. Keep asking. You can know from Hong's views on this matter. How deep is the grievance between Konoha village and the Uchiha clan? There is simply no way for the two parties to live in harmony like ordinary villagers. Both remain very wary of each other. It's like this kind of contradiction. Those things that will happen after that are actually supposed to happen. I have to mention it here. The wise of the first generation. Eliminate all your family names. Only in this way can we better integrate into the village. The Uchiha clan is because the family plot is too heavy. As a result, they were unable to integrate with the entire Konoha village at all. In everything, first consider your own ethnic group. That's all. Advertisement. It's strange to be able to integrate into the village. But these are not issues for Ron to consider, he just wants to go home quickly now. Get rid of this trouble, if you don't let go, I'm going to do it. Ron said lightly. Hong never expected that Ron not only didn't explain, he even dared to do it. This is too much, it seems that he must have some secret with the Uchiha clan. In this case, if the other party does not take the initiative to speak out, then use illusion to make him speak out. Hong is very good at illusion. So, he is particularly good at getting information from the enemy. And at this moment, his goal was focused on Ron. After all, Ron did just now, has already made him suspicious. So he had to take this opportunity, to know exactly what deal Ron made with the U5.2 Chiba clan. Then, Hong suddenly looked up, staring at Ron's eyes. Start to cast illusion. Have to say, Red's illusion skills are extremely high. It's done. Watching Ron settle there, Hong couldn't help but smile triumphantly. Chapter 231, Auto-generated chapter title, 231. The joy of the girl, the legend of the village is subdued by me. This is the man who defeated Oshimaru in the legend. Just say he defeated Kei and Kakashi, not so much. Isn't it planted in my hands this time? Hong turned around Ron very happily. Now Ron had been caught in illusion in his eyes, and he couldn't move at all. Just like old-fashioned fish, this not only made Hong look up and down Ron with interest. After all, in this month, Ron is the true legend of Kima village. Almost a household name, here, whether it is a ninja or an ordinary resident. No one doesn't know Ron. After a meal, we'll also discuss. Red, this is the first time I have seen Ron. I heard it from parents before. 14 Although Kakashi and Kei also told him, I only heard the sound, but didn't see the person. Red circled Ron a few times, from top to bottom. Watch carefully. Ron's eyebrows, mouth, and eyes. Hong watched them all carefully. Have to say, this children looks pretty long. Advertisement, I believe he must be handsome when he grows up. Unexpectedly, the strength is quite strong, and he has become a red man in the village at a young age. See you today. Let this young and energetic girl. Can't help but feel a little bit of comparison, since this Ron can defeat so many big people. It must be very strong, and, today, I took the opportunity of Ron to come out of the Uchiha clan. So Red started to compete with the idea, what she is best at is illusion. So he cast an illusion on Ron without hesitation. Unexpectedly, it really succeeded. Red at the moment is very happy. After all, as one's own same period, Metke, and the flag wood Kakashi. All lost to Ron, but he overpowered Ron. This feeling is really great. Now he can't wait to recruit both of these classmates to show them. After all, it is a girl's heart. Can't hide the excitement in my heart. But at the moment, Hong knew he had other tasks. She must take this opportunity. Figure out why Ron came to the Uchiha clan for. Is it bad for the village? These are all he can't wait to know. So now, advertisement Red, try to suppress the excitement in your heart. Start doing business. The time for own illusion is coming. So while the illusion time is still there, interrogation of Ron began. Although the Red illusion is not as strong as the Uchiha clan. But, it has also reached the limit that ordinary people can reach. The Uchiha clan relies entirely on their eyes and Red. He is an ordinary person. As an ordinary person, her illusion has basically reached the ceiling. And, his illusion can also be responsible for interrogation. Everyone who enters his illusion world will be on the scene. And remembering 797 memories will briefly appear unprepared. At this time, no matter what to ask, it will be all right. This is what Hong is proud of, as a family that specializes in interrogating prisoners. Red knows this too well, although she has not been used in actual combat. But, this time it can be used on Ron completely. I saw Hong staring into Ron's eyes, said word by word. So, tell me now, what on earth did you come to the Uchiha clan's mansion for? Chapter 232, Auto-generated chapter title, 232. You don't think you can confuse me with your illusion. Now, the red face was right in front of Ron. The distance between the two people is less than 10 centimeters. Even, the other person's breath can hit his face. However, at the moment, Hong thought that Ron had been hit by his illusion. That's why I posted so close to ask, because the closer you are to each other, the more it can increase the success rate of interrogation. Red at the moment, staring with a pair of big eyes. Staring closely at Ron's eyes, but what she didn't expect was. Ron didn't even speak. This shouldn't be. This is not in line with his interrogation routine. According to normal circumstances, Ron should have already explained it. Why didn't the other party react at all? Didn't you hear your question? Hongdu pouted and asked again. Say it. You came to the Uchiha clan. What are they plotting here? What did they tell you? Through the red illusion, it reached Ron's ears again. Then Hong remained in the original posture, waiting for Ron to spit out the truth. Advertisement, but half a day later, Ron still didn't speak. This can make Hong a little puzzling. This is impossible. This situation has never happened before. What's going on? Did you make a mistake in any of your steps? This is how parents usually interrogate prisoners. How is this going? I can't think of the answer. Red is really speechless. Can only continue to get closer, and then asked, please explain everything that happened when you went to the Uchiha clan. All explain truthfully. Red, take a deep breath and say again. However, at the moment, Ron finally spoke. It's just that what she said was not the answer she wanted. Ron said, please don't stay so close to me, okay? If this happens again, I would suspect that you are assaulting me. Ron said lightly, at the same time opened his eyes. Look at the red clothes at hand. This sentence, but Red was taken aback. She thought it was absolutely impossible for Ron to open his eyes during the illusion. That's why I got so close, but suddenly, advertisement. When Ron opened his eyes, he was taken aback, frightened her back again and again. Then one stands unstable, he actually sat on the ground. It was so painful that she almost cried, but this can't conceal the shock she is now receiving. Why is my own illusion useless? Could it be that the other party has solved his illusion? All kinds of questions, all the brains rushed up. And what did Ron mean by saying this? What do you mean by insulting him? Is he shameless? Where can I tell that I am insulting him? I was clearly interrogating just now. He stood up again in red. Then he looked at Ron and asked, what are you talking nonsense? There's more. Why don't you have illusion? This shouldn't be. Just now, Jiao Nuo Jiao, you clearly have been in illusion. How can you be able to move freely? Hong asked incredulously. Ron looked at the little girl who was a head taller than him. It is really speechless. This guy is too confident. You don't think you can confuse me with your illusion? Chapter 233, Auto-Generated Chapter Title, 233. The Profound Meaning of Illusion, the Art of Punishment. What do you mean? Could it be that you don't have the illusion that hits me at all? How can this be? Then why did you stand still just now? Ron's words. Let the red break the defense directly. How can that be possible? Ron's performance just now clearly shows that he has been hit by an illusion. Why did he say he missed it? Is he lying to himself? And Ron just shook his head lightly. Your level of illusion skills is far from it. Don't show your ugliness here. Hurry up, don't delay me coming home. Otherwise, don't blame me spanking you. Ron 797 just said casually. After all, he is really too lazy to do it now, so I just want to scare the opponent away. However, never expected, this woman is getting more and more energetic. She did not believe that her illusion would fail. And very dissatisfied with Ron's attitude, she was immediately standing in front of Ron. Then face to face with Ron, start to cast illusion. Ron was speechless. I have never seen anyone perform illusion like this. Advertisement, this guy has a brain disease, right? How can anyone start using the BEFC technique when standing at such a close distance from the enemy face to face? But Hong seems not to believe in evil, must show. However, Ron remained expressionless, even a little impatiently pushed the red away. No kidding. Quickly get out of my way and don't get in my way. The red is completely covered, watching Ron push himself away and then leave. I didn't know what to say for a while. What exactly happened here? Why is my illusion out of control? It turned out to be of no use to him. This is the first time Hong has encountered this situation. Is it possible? This guy can also illusion. Seeing Ron walk farther and farther. If you don't stop it anymore, it's too late, so Hong immediately trot and chased him. However, at the moment, she suddenly found herself trapped in chaos. Not good, she is too familiar with illusion, so. When this chaos appeared in front of him, he knew immediately that he had fallen into illusion. How is this possible? How can I fall into the illusion? Advertisement, could it be that the other party can also illusion? When did he cast illusions? Obviously, his back is facing himself. Could it be possible to perform illusions even with your back to yourself? Never heard of this method. Wait a moment, at this time. In a chaos, suddenly, a figure appeared in front of him. This person is Ron. What are you going to do? Red has some bad feelings. Said immediately. I said that if you harass me again, I will spank. Red, at the moment, I want to move, but I can't move my body. Seeing, Ron approached him step by step, snapped. Right in front of her. In front of her, he slapped Hong's asterisk with a slap. There was a crisp sound. Red is dumbfounded. She didn't expect that Ron would really dare to do this. All of a sudden, his face flushed. The whole person fell apart. What are you doing? Quickly let me go. If you don't let me go, I will call someone. Chapter 234, Auto-Generated Chapter Title, 234. Bring the Soil invites Ron to join Akatsuki. Actually, Ron is now. I really want to say something to him. Even if you break your throat, no one will come. Although this sentence is very cliched, but it is indeed suitable for the current scenario. It's just that Ron isn't interested. He looked embarrassed. Ron asked, are you obedient now? Ron's expression was serious. Hong is now looking at Ron with big eyes and gritted teeth. Can't wait to unload the wheel into 18 pieces, but. Now he is in Ron's hands. Red's first reaction, not begging Ron for mercy. Instead, look around and see if anyone else is watching. If it is discovered by others, that shame can be thrown home. Fortunately, there is no one in Yue. This also made Hong let out a sigh of relief. Then he turned his head, said, "Well, I know I was wrong. You let me go. I promise never to trouble you again. And I don't think I have seen this thing today, and you shouldn't talk about it. Let's keep each other's secrets, what do you think?" Hong still believes that Ron went to the Uchiha clan for other activities. Advertisement, so I plan to exchange terms with Ron. However, Ron definitely can't eat this set. I'm not here to negotiate terms with you. What do you say about me? But I still have one question for you now. Will you trouble me in the future? Ron didn't stop talking as he spoke. He slapped twice again, this time Hong Da cried. She can feel it. My butt must be swollen now. I promise I will never trouble you in the future. You let me go. I know it was wrong. Tears were streaming down the big red eyes. It seems that this time I really admitted my mistake. Ron put her down with satisfaction. Don't block my way home. Hear Ron talking. Red is like a frightened bird. Get out of your body quickly. Give way to Ron. Today I really lost my wife and broke down. Didn't give Ron a good lesson, instead, he was spanked. How awkward it is, how awkward it is. Fortunately, no one around saw it. Red now. But it is worthy of the name, his face was flushed. Really worthy of her name. Advertisement. Ron let out a long sigh of relief, and finally got rid of another trouble. Stretched. Then continued to walk towards home, for flowers. But, troubles in this world always follow one after another. When Ron opened the door, suddenly there was a man sitting inside. It is the masked man, that is, Uchiha Belt Soil. Ron frowned. He didn't want anyone to enter his home without his permission. And also sitting in his own chair, it is different from the Red situation just now. Ron was really a little angry at this moment. Ming, finally waited until you came back. I choose to meet here, you shouldn't mind it? Uchiha Dado still doesn't understand Ron's anger. It's still fanning the flames here. Ron's expression changed. Who let you come in? Do you want to die? This sentence is full of murderousness. It was very different from the usual Ron. Even after Uchiha took the soil, he felt a chill in his back. He did not expect. Why is Ron so angry? I did not mean. I came to you without any malice. I want to invite you to join my organization Shao. Chapter 235, Auto-generated chapter title, 235, I know your true identity. Did not think of, Uchiha brought the soil to invite Ron to join Akatsuki. Ron checked his eyebrows slightly, will it be known in this period? Is it so early? Even if there is, it stands to reason that at this time, Uchiha has not yet entered Akatsuki. He was Xiao Xiao who entered afterwards under the pseudonym Afei. It seems that the establishment of Akatsuki's organization. Uchiha must push the soil behind, although he has not joined Akatsuki now. But 797 has secretly controlled this organization. Since he came here to invite himself, I must know my true identity. Ron remembered it carefully. At that time, he was playing against Oshimaru. There is indeed another breath around. Ron didn't care about it at the time. But now I want to come. That person should be Uchiha hidden in the dark. It seems. Space Ninja is really troublesome, always fascinating. At that time, even if he blocked the sight of a few other people. Advertisement. It is estimated that Uchiha brought the soil to see it. Even though, Ron didn't mind revealing his identity. Only Ron, now I want to spend 70 days quietly, as for joining Akatsuki. It is a fantasy. Ron wasn't interested in them at all. Or, if Ron's template progress needs to kill them. Then Ron will do it without hesitation, only, now it is lucky for Akatsuki. Laurent is now in the process of the sin of laziness template. Killing does not increase the progress value. Wait until Ron opens the next template. That's not accurate. Ron at this moment, watching Uchiha take soil. Said coldly. What qualifications do you have to invite me to join your broken organization? Do you think I would be interested in her? The words came out. Uchiha's face couldn't hold it anymore. I know your true identity. Advertisement. You don't have any feelings for Mumu, so what use is it for you to stay here? Once your true identity is revealed, do you think Konoha village will still be able to keep you? It's better to plan for your future. How? Think about it. As far as I know, the 4th generation of Hokage has already started investigating your identity. How long do you think you can hide? Or, the hometown you made up indiscriminately, is it really not afraid of 4 generations to check it out? Once your identity is doubted, with 4 generations of ingenuity, it's easy to think that you are the same person who invaded Konoha half a month ago. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Uchiha said proudly. Anyone with a normal mind knows how to choose. Don't forget, I am a space ninja. When you said the location, I had already passed by and looked at it. There is not even a small island. He believes, you will face the chase of the entire Konoha village. How? Have you considered it? The 4 generations have sent people to investigate in that direction. I believe that within half a month, they will find that there is no island you call it. Where did you come from the many villages in Marin? Do you think the whole Konoha village can still accommodate you? So it's better to come with me now and join my Akatsuki organization. Will you still come to help me in 5.2, by the time? What will you do then? You just made up a place, wanting to delay time. Chapter 236, Auto-generated chapter title, 236. 4 generations of people have really discovered the many villages in Marin. Now, in the office of the 4th generation of Hokage. 4 generations looked at the report in their hands. Cannot help but frowned. What did you say? An island was really found there. This result made the 4 generations feel incredible. He had already suspected Ron before, thought it was a place made up by him. But, what the 4 generations never expected was the person he sent out just now. The report passed back. The above clearly stated that there is indeed an island there. And on this island, there are tall buildings above. Watch from a distance, there are indeed people living. This makes the generations can't help but frown. Could it be that? Are there really more than 14 villages in Linfan? Ron's hometown is really there, this guy didn't lie. It really came from there, otherwise, who can accurately name a village far overseas? 4 generations couldn't help frowning, it seems that he has been thinking too much. Advertisement he shouldn't doubt Ron. 4 generations looked at this man and said. What is the village like? The man shook his head and said. Well, it shouldn't be a village in general, it's much bigger than ours. And the whole building doesn't look like we made it out of wood, it's all made of stone. It looks higher than ours. This named Shangren reported truthfully. This not only made the 4 generations frowned, didn't you take a closer look? The defense around is not too tight, we can't get close. There are several warships patrolling nearby. We were afraid of revealing our identity, so we didn't dare to approach. Said Shinobu. This made the 4th generation nodded. You were right. When you don't know the identity of the other party, it's best not to approach rashly, otherwise you will be treated as an enemy. Because of a misunderstanding at that time, and if you start a war between the two sides, it won't be worth it. Now think of ways to establish communication with them. Try to enlist them as allies, at least it shouldn't be the enemy. Ron is so young. The strength is already so strong. There is only one reason. Ron's talent is very high. Advertisement according to their Naruto world tradition. A person is great, which often means that a race is great. Ron is so fierce, he must be inseparable from the inherent advantages of his race. In other words, the people in his hometown are probably the same as Ron. At a very young age, he has strong strength. This is the reason why the 4 generations have to pay attention. So I dared not offend the people on that island. If the people on the island are as strong as Ron, then their Konoha village is really vulnerable to these people. 4 generations, what should we do? There is nothing to do with this name. 4 generations paced back and forth, thought about it, and then said. So, you go to 797 again and bring this imprint shuriken. Place this shuriken next to their base. 4 generations handed his flying thunder god shuriken to this Shangnin. The purpose of doing so, just to let him teleport over with flying thunder god himself. After all, such an important thing, I still have to rely on my own Hokage to get here. And now all he has to do is call Ron home again. Ask a good question about his hometown. Hope to use Ron as a breakthrough. Establish ties between the two countries. Form a friendly alliance. Chapter 237, Auto-generated chapter title, 237. The 4th generation of Naruto prepares to explore Marineford. And at Ron's house, Uchiha Dado was staring at Ron. He was waiting for Ron's answer. I have talked to Ron about all the pros and cons. So next, it depends on Ron's choice. However, Uchiha is confident. It will definitely bring Ron into his organization. After all, but every normal person knows how to choose. However, what he never expected was, Ron said suddenly. I'm not interested in your broken organization, now we should settle. You have appeared in my house without my permission. You should know, this is serious. Ron's words become more clever as he speaks. The tone is getting colder and colder. Uchiha brought the soil, never thought of it. Ron would choose that. Is his brain sick? Could it be? Is he really not afraid that his fictional hometown will be exposed? In that case, then just assume I haven't been here. Uchiha is not stupid with soil, he would not choose to play against Ron here. Anyway, this is also Konoha's place, advertisement. Let alone Ron's strength. If there is a fight here, then the 4 generations will come over as soon as possible. Uchiha Dado is a space ninja, he is not afraid of anyone. Is he only afraid of 4 generations of feng shui? Because the 4th generation of Naruto is also a new space ninja, and the speed is even faster than him. So, seeing that I failed to invite Ron, so the wisest thing now is to leave here quickly. This, want to go? Have you asked me? Ron stared at the soil coldly. I don't want to be your enemy now, I apologize for entering your house. Uchiha said with soil. At the same time, the footsteps are constantly retreating. Although he can teleport, but it also takes time to start. This kind of time is negligible in front of ordinary ninjas, but not in front of Ron. He knew exactly how fast Ron was, so it is necessary to open enough distance. However, just when the sword is at a stretch, suddenly. There was another knock on the door. Excuse me, is Ron at home? I'm Kakashi. I'm here to invite you on the order of 4 generations. Kakashi knocked on the door and said, what's up? Advertisement. Ron frowned. What did the 4 generations invite themselves to do at this time? Kakashi said, we discovered Ron's hometown in the North Blue region of the West, and generations want to see you. If you want to go home, we can send you back. Kakashi said. These words, the 2 people in the room were directly trapped. Not only Ron, but even Uchiha's belts are the same. Uchiha Dado now has a black line on his face. How is this going? I obviously teleported to that direction to see it, and there was no island there. Where is Ron's hometown? And Ron was also dumbfounded at the moment. I'm just being casual, and the place that is said is even the place of Pirate World. How can it be found in this world? This is a coincidence too, right? And looking at Kakashi's appearance, it's not like nonsense. Could it be that, from the world of Hokage, can you also reach the world of pirates? The place I said casually is exactly the focus of the two worlds? Money, Ron is at a loss now. This kind of thing is really weird. As a result, he doesn't even have to deal with Uchiha's thoughts of taking soil. He wants to know what the hell is going on. Is it true that Marin has appeared here in many ways? So he said directly to Kakashi, okay, wait for me. I'll go and see you for 4 generations. Chapter 238, Auto-generated chapter title. 238. There are many Marlins from Pirate World before this. Ron didn't expect it either. I will come to the home of 4 generations. It may be because the matter involves private affairs. So there is no meeting in the office of the 4th generation. Instead, he came to the house of the 4th generation. Ron just walked in. I saw the 4 generations come out to greet. Kakashi's mission has been completed, leaving here very wisely. Entering the house. Seated. This time the 4 generations did not start chattering like before. On the contrary, he was very serious and said to Ron. We found your hometown. If Ron wants to go back, we can escort you back, but to be honest, in fact, the 4th generation didn't want Ron to go back. After all, Ron is now the son of prophecy. At least 4 generations think he is. Do you count on Ron to deal with that mysterious man? So of course it is impossible to hope Ron go, but he has to say so now. Because only in this way can the topic be opened up. Only then can the topic be brought to Ron's hometown logically. Advertisement these words, in fact, the shock to Ron was very big. He didn't even think that he would really find Marin a lot. After all, this is the world of Hokage, it's not the world of pirates at all. This is not the same work. So, how did they find the Marine headquarters in the pirate in the world of Naruto? This made Ron very strange, the reason why he chose to come to the banquet. Also to figure it out, I thought about it for a moment. Ron just said it, I want to go back and have a look. Since you were there, take me back with you. Ron really wanted to take a look. Is this so-called Marine Fort and the Marine Fort of Pirate World the same? This is important to Ron. I heard Ron say that the mood of the 4 generations is somewhat depressed. But Ron didn't say that he would not come back, BEFC, if he went. The 4th generation continued. That's fine. Tomorrow I will personally escort you. I really want to see this small overseas island, and get to know the leaders inside. Advertisement so he plans to escort Ron himself. Ron knew what he was thinking. If there are many Marlin, it is only natural that the 4 generations want to see it. So for the 4 generations to personally escort him there. Ron didn't refuse either. In the next moment, 4 generations asked Ron a lot about his hometown. Ron still doesn't know if there are many Marlins in this world and the pirate world is the same. So his answer can also win a very powerful ally. Is there really such a powerful island, far surpassing their Hokage? The 4 generations have come to be interested instead. Fortunately, I found it in time now. All are based on the many Marlins of Pirate World. However, the 4 generations were stunned there for a while. Why hasn't it been discovered before? One more thought of this. If you go over and establish diplomatic relations with them in time. Through Ron's expression. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. How strong are the people on that island? He wanted to see it. But this description, better than they became enemies. The people there are very powerful. Chapter 239, Auto-generated chapter title. 239. Uchiha's Rebellion. What? You said the 4 generations are going to sail? Now, inside the Root organization, Danzo said incredulously. It is generally impossible for Hokage to leave the village. What made the 4 generations choose to leave the village? Is what you said true? Do you know where the 4 generations are going? Danzo asked yelling. Kakashi shook his head. I don't know where to go. Danzo frowned. Damn it, what is this guy doing? It's really a headache. After thinking about it for a long time, I couldn't think of it. Then, Danzo decided, send someone to follow up. See if the 4th generation really left here, if the 4 generations are not in Konoha. So for him, but a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. After all, Danzo has always been ambitious, he wanted to be Hokage. But 4 generations were in the village and he couldn't do it. Advertisement I didn't expect God to help me too. Actually at this time, 4 generations chose to leave Konoha village. Although I don't know what he is going to do, but this is undoubtedly good news for Danzo. Just wait until the 4th generation is gone, he can take this opportunity. Find a way to launch a coup, become the new Hokage. But, I'm afraid that Sihu Okage is pretending to leave. So, Danzo must be monitored, to ensure that the 4th generation of Hokage wave Fengshuimen really left the village of Konoha. And at the moment, there is another person who has the same idea as Danzo. That is, Uchiha Tomitaki of the Uchiha clan, when he got the news. It was also shocked, he got the news, even richer than Danzo. Great, great. 4 generations of Heifeng Mizuno and Ron, the boy, left the village of Konoha together. This is really an opportunity God gave us. If we don't hurry up this time, then we won't have a chance in the future. Uchiha Tomotaki had planned to give up betrayal, but never expected. Suddenly there was such a big good news. Who would have thought? At this moment, 4 generations and Ron left the village at the same time. Advertisement, and it is said that Ron's hometown was discovered overseas. It's very likely that Ron won't be back once he leaves. Without Ron, such a big trouble. The rebellion against the Uchiha Tomotaki clan is extremely good. After all, Ron's strength, they're obvious to all. As long as there is such a guy, so, their Uchiha clan will never turn back. After all, their strength has not yet reached and can solve these 2 problems at the same time. Immediately, summon everyone from the Uchiha clan to come to me. Patriarch, what should I do now? And now, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity is here. Tonight is destined to be an extraordinary night. Uchiha Tomotaki frowned and thought for a while, then said, "First send someone to follow the 4 generations of Hokage and Ron." They immediately took the order and left here. All of the Uchiha clan's senior executives were excited in an instant. The era that belongs to us has come again. The most troublesome 4 generations of Hokage and the most troublesome ended up leaving Konoha village at the same time. .00. If it is real. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. See if they really leave the village? These words. Anyone can think of it. Chapter 240, auto-generated chapter title. 240. Going to meet friends from Pirate World after a day of preparation. The next day, outside the door of Konoha village. Ron and his party are ready to go. They're going to that island. There are also 4 generations of Hokage, Kakashi, and Kai who are traveling with this. There are not many people, the 4 generations at this moment. I don't know the harm this time will bring to Konoha village. He thinks now, just how can Ron and the people of the clan establish good communication? 80, and at this moment, not far away. Several pairs of eyes were staring at the pedestrian. Among them are Danzo people. There are also people sent by Uchiha Tomotaki. All in all, a lot of eyes are staring here, once waiting for the 4 generations to leave here. So, it's time for them to have their own minds. Ron, do you remember the direction of your home? 4 generations asked on the road. Where does Ron know? The previous position was just made up by him, so the 4 generations asked. Ron could only shook his head and said, "It's too long, forget it." The 4th generation of Hokage nodded. Advertisement. No, keep asking. Konoha village is located in the middle of the mainland. There is still a long distance from the coast, so. During this journey, it took a long time to walk. They finally came to the beach, and here are already ready ships. Although in the Naruto world, boats are rarely used. But this does not mean there is no such thing. There are still many countries in Konoha village like this kind of island-selected country. Communication with each other is dependent on ships. So it's actually very simple to get a boat, under the leadership of 4 generations. Everyone also slowly boarded the boat, then began to set out in a direction that was explored in advance. Because the 4 generations have already found someone to go to Marin in advance. So, this Zhao can be regarded as familiar with the road. Only, there are many marlins far away from here. It would take at least a day and a half to advance at full speed. Only then can we reach that place. So, they need to spend a day and a half on the boat. However, the supplies on this ship are quite sufficient. Food and drink are readily available. The action. For confidentiality, advertisement, very few people came. With the addition of 4 generations, only 6 people came to the entire Konoha village. And they are the confidants of the 4 generations. This is also the first time Kakashi and Kei go to sea. Have to say, for the 2 teenagers at this moment, they are still very excited. And, on the way, through 4 generations of statements, everyone finally understood where they were going. Never expected, it turned out to be Ron's hometown? They thought Ron's war was an orphan. What will it be like? And it is said that everyone in Ron's hometown is very strong. Will the people there be those of Pirate World? He didn't expect that, he said casually. He was actually caught. Even people in Pirate World. Just someone who surpasses Naruto. But, 3 more, but. If there is such a place, 5.2. When we meet in a while, do they remember themselves? Is it the Pirate World that I came to? This makes Kakashi and Kei very curious. In this way, it really isn't. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. At the moment, Ron was the most excited on the boat. There are many.